Hi, I'm Edwin.
I'm Jack.
And I'm here for good.
There you go.
Yeah, buddy.
Welcome back to the 950 Club.
Yee-hoo.
I don't do those sounds.
No.
It's like every intro is like, yeah, he's just got to fill in that air. It's like the Michael Jackson. He just got to throw something in there.
Jason Voorhees.
He has his own ad libs.
He does. He does.
Has his own ad libs.
Jackerisms.
You got a haircut?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm going to
You
get
too?
one soon.
I didn't have a choice.
Oh,
No, you didn't.
Yeah.
Not with everything you got coming up.
Wedding ready, baby. Wedding ready. Awesome.
I hate haircuts.
Me too.
I don't think there's a man that enjoys haircuts.
I don't mind. I like getting haircuts, but the
I don't.
haircuts they're out of control now.
Yeah.
They're out of control.
It took me years to finally find a decent barber. Finally.
There's a lady that she's real nice. But like I want a full on barber for like,
That face, yeah.
facial hair and everything.
I recommend mine. She does it.
How much does your barber cost?
50.
That's a lot.
Hey, she's worth it.
That's a lot. Yeah.
Or at least combined with tip.
Okay. Yeah, that's a
50
lot.
combined with tip?
Yes.
How pretty is this woman?
She's all right.
No, that's cheap.
50?
My barber's 60.
60?
My barber's 60.
Damn.
$60.
That's crazy.
And that's just for the cut and the lineup.
Really?
Anything else is extra.
Damn. I'm paying like $18 for my haircut. I'm like,
What are you complaining about?
I know, right?
I don't like my barber. What?
No, I don't. It's not that I don't like her. It's that she just doesn't do the like
The facial.
The face stuff?
Yeah. I'm looking for a full like
somebody that's going to do
everything.
all of that.
Yeah.
Extra money.
Extra money.
Pretty much, yeah.
For mine too. Yeah.
For all the cleanup and everything.
I mean, she does a good job.
And they're going to throw the enhancement. Oh man, you want me to enhance? I see you got a little. Then you want me to fill that in for you real quick? It'll be enough 15. Don't worry about it. Oh, you want the razor lining? You want the razor lining?
Are you
that's
serious?
cool.
They're the best
upsell on there.
Like she does that stuff just as part part of the haircut.
That ain't the game no more, bro.
Oh,
that ain't the
Lord.
game.
I need to start paying this woman more money then.
Haircut and lineup 60. If you want this done, is extra. If you want the razor, is extra. If you want the facial whatever,
the face towel,
extra.
Yeah.
If you need the fill-ins, the enhancements, extra. They knocking you over the head. And these people are so ridiculous. They are so ridiculous. Are we recording this?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, if you want, we can.
Care. These people are so ridiculous that they'll like. I think I've said this before. I think they're in cahoots with gas station owners. I think they're in cahoots with gas station owners because, like you said, how much does it cost to fill up your car?
About 30, 40.
And it costs you 50 to get a haircut, right?
Yes.
It cost me about 40 bucks to get it.
I kind of get where you're going.
You see what I'm talking about?
I get where you're going.
And that's when gas prices are low.
Yeah, no joke.
If you go over there across the street to that Shell station right now, it's going to cost me about $50.
Especially in Chicago.
That's a haircut.
In Chicago, yep.
It's a haircut. I remember back in the day when $20 would take you from E to full.
Oh, yeah.
And you could go to the barbershop with that same 20.
Look, if you want to talk about that, let's talk about food.
Yeah.
I mean,
groceries.
Like places that I used to groceries, but like places that I used to go to where it was like $20, $25.
Yeah.
Now it's like $45.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, what happened? And I'm like, I can chalk that up to like property taxes. I can chalk that up to like food costs and stuff, labor costs. But at the same time, it's like, wait, what? This is a lot more.
See, you could chalk that up to all this. When it comes to barber, and I'm not talking about my specific barber. I love you. But when it comes to barbers, they're just competing with salon prices. The salons have been killing women forever.
I can see that.
And we've been able to
with
get
that.
around. We've been able to get away with $20. Here, I'm gonna give you 20, and you get it. I used to be able to extend a haircut by like, I ain't gonna get my haircut. I'm gonna just go get a line. The line will be $5.
Yeah.
That'll extend the haircut at least another week or two.
It's barely a 10-minute job.
At least another week or two with just a $5 lineup.
Yeah.
You go for a lineup now, they want $15, $20. $15, $20 for a lineup.
Because of the word of mouth.
And I'm not even talking about a razor liner, just a regular. I'm gonna take the clippers and line up. It's out of control. And it's like, all right, man, I'm gonna come see you on Saturday. Oh, no. I don't take appointments like that no more. Hit me on my Booksy. I only do appointments on my Booksy. You cancel the appointment on the Booksy.
Yeah.
It's gonna charge your card.
That's been a money.
But they can be like, oh, my bad, man. I'm running like 30 minutes late, man. Don't worry about it. I'll be there. I don't get nothing off for that.
You
Yeah.
don't.
It's a racket.
Yeah.
It is a racket.
It's a racket.
It
And I
happened
was
to me
talking
once.
to
My mom.
I was talking to Jesse about this, and he was like, I think it's a great business. He's like, because it's a cash business. They can rack up on money.
Yeah.
Because they can be like, I only
Without
cut.
paying taxes.
Yeah. I'm like, you know what? You're on to something. And I think it's a big conspiracy between barbers and gas station owners in taxes. I think it's all together. It's elevating at the same
I think
point
it's
and
just-
plateauing at the same
Yeah.
point. It's too much of a coincidence.
I don't think it's
for
a
it to be.
conspiracy. I think
It's a
just,
conspiracy.
okay.
Oh no! You don't get to. You're not valid in this conversation. You pay $18 for your haircut. I pay $60. 60.
That's insane.
60.
Yeah.
That's
And
insane.
most of them.
And that ain't with tip.
Yeah. Most
Pause.
barbers work at a school sometimes. Sometimes they work at a different barber. Like one typical barber has at least 3 other locations that they work at.
That's not necessarily true.
Yeah. But that's one
It
of the
depends
things.
on what they do.
Yeah.
If you work at a shop, you rent the chair.
What I mean is that it's sometimes more like a network. So, it's a streamline to other places and stuff. So
These prices are out of control.
Yeah, my mom, she has been looking for a place to get a haircut for a while. I know she found some place with my sister at some point. But yeah, a lot of these places like canceled appointment fees. It's like it's
Insane.
crazy. It's
It's
like
insanity.
$50 for a canceled appointment fee. I'm
Yeah.
like, what are you, a doctor's
Yeah.
office?
because
Yeah.
that's their book time. They happened to me once.
And
Well,
Unfortunately.
because they're saying
I
that they're
understand
losing the
it.
profit
Yeah.
if somebody doesn't show up, but it's like then you just lose the profit. It's not like you're not gonna have more appointments that day. It's not like you're gonna like. It's like then get insurance.
Yeah.
Get like lost revenue insurance. It's like how are you gonna make people like things happen? Like shit happens where it's like if you have an emergency or if something
Right.
more important comes up, like hey, look, I have to go like take my dog to the vet or I have to pick up my kid from school and I can't make it to this appointment. It's like you're gonna charge me $50 anyway.
Yeah.
That's insane.
It's a hustle, man.
It's a hustle.
They are getting us.
Well, they want to
good.
operate without a loss, and it's like that's not the way reality works.
Business in general, you're going to expect something.
Yeah, it's like, look, you're gonna have losses. It's like that's just reality. It's like you can't like. I think it's a terrible way of like operating a business.
I just want y'all to know that I'm onto your racket. That's
Molly's
why
onto your racket.
that's
If he's onto
why
your racket, you are in trouble.
I used to get my hair cut at least once every 2 weeks. Now,
For me, it's every 4 months.
maybe.
I do.
Maybe.
I like the lady that cuts my hair, and I like the way she does it.
And decent
I
price.
just
at the
don't
end of the
like.
day.
Yeah, I mean, well, I used to tip her like $5, but the haircut's gone up to 18.
Yeah, 10. Give her 10.
Haircut's going up to 18.
Well, I don't know where you guys are living.
When
but,
I was
like,
when I was in my prime, I was paying.
in your prime,
it
how
was-
old are you?
It was in my
He's
prime.
still in his prime.
You're not
He's
even
still in his
40,
prime.
dude.
No,
He's still in his prime.
But my hair ain't in his prime no more.
Oh, okay.
Like
Your hair game is not.
Yours
I
is
ain't
more
got
full
the
than mine.
waves
Mine's-
that I used to have. I'm starting to get a little thin up here.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Like,
getting to. Yeah.
But in my haircut prime, it was 15 for the cut, and then they you throw a little tip on there. I would give them a couple dollars, 17, 18. Or if I'm like extra nice, I'm like, just take the whole 20. I don't care. I didn't care. And they gave away free condoms at our barbershop.
Okay.
Hey.
But, protecting the community.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
protecting the community.
That makes a lot of sense. You have so many men going.
Avoid STDs by any cost.
Yeah. Hey. So it was cool. But now...
Yeah. Now they pay for the condom, or you have to pay for the condom.
Now I need a condom before I walk in there.
Oh, shit.
I need a condom before I walk in there.
No,
probably some lube too.
I had a thing with scissors. I was uncomfortable with scissors getting close to my
knives
face.
with me. I've had a weird
I
fear
just
of
realized
knives.
that I've been cutting with scissors wrong my whole life.
Really? Yeah. How do you wait? Like cutting paper or cutting?
Yeah, because I put my thumb in
the top one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, so you flip it around and like,
yeah.
Okay.
Some more alignment. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you've been sticking your finger into the larger part than the smaller part. Oh, wow. That's weird.
Yeah. Huh.
So are you a do you
this is such an interesting conversation.
So how do you use the scissors? Do you like up and down or you just straight through?
I prefer to just go straight through.
Right? Yeah.
I do a snip, then a swoop. I gift wrapping. That's what you do with gift wrapping.
Oh, yeah. You have to.
If you got a nice sharp pair of scissors.
Yeah.
Cheers. Needs the one
through.
cut and you straight through.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't want to have to go cut because then it ends up.
And it gets rigid.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's kind of weird. I did not know that.
Huh.
Okay.
I realized that I was doing it wrong.
I feel like I've been doing it wrong too.
Because I was like, I forgot what happened. I saw somebody. I'm like, you're using the scissors wrong. And they're like, no, this is how you do it. And I'm like, no, it's the other way. And everybody around was like, no. And I was like, I've been cutting with scissors wrong this whole time.
It's like a whole straight line. And people are like, no.
I think we all have moments like that.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's like, oh, okay.
Well, a couple months ago, I never really understood the concept of not drinking your own drink at a restaurant.
Oh, that was interesting, Jack. That was
like this whole time.
Bring your own drink into a restaurant.
No,
that's lost revenue.
Yeah, that's
because it was a gift.
If it's BYOB,
then you can
for designated places. Yes.
Most restaurants will say when you walk in, no outside food or drink allowed. Privilege.
I was sitting in the food court in G, and I heard this family. He's like, the mom was like, "Well, we're gonna get food here." He's like, "But I thought we were gonna go to this sit down place." She's like, "We'll just take our food there," and I'm like, "I don't think that's gonna work."
Right.
And I'm just sitting there, and he comes back. He's like, "Yeah, I got us a table," and he's like, "Yeah, I got sandwiches for the kids," and I'm like, you think that they're going to let you walk in with these Subway sandwiches and just sit down and eat there? I'm like, no restaurant that I know of is going to let you do that just because you thought, oh, it'll be cheaper to get them something at Subway or that's what they want.
Especially if you got a waiter for the table.
The table is there for you to order
food. Yeah, not to like eat people from.
And you're not going to be slick and be like, ooh, can we get some waters?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting conversation.
Is how they make their money.
Yeah, that was really like, Jack. When you did that, I was like, oh.
Well, in context, Jamaal gave me a nice Street Fighter pop, and it was a gift. I'm like, oh, I want to keep this forever, so I started drinking it.
Yeah.
Because I collect
me, by the way.
I collect cans, I collect bottles. So
that was me, by the way. I got.
Yeah,
that
I think that was that one.
Yeah, I got that for you.
Oh, my mistake.
Nakamura Toys.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Good call.
Yeah, my mistake was giving it to you there at the table.
Right.
Yeah, that was my bad. Yeah, that was my bad. We were at Bert's, right?
No, yeah, Bert's place, pizza place.
Good pizza.
That was delicious.
Very good pizza.
Yeah, I went to
one of the best steep dishes in the Illinois area.
Thursday night, I ended up at Pequod's because the bar that I had tried to go to on Thursday night stopped serving food at 10.
Speaking of rackets,
yeah, and I'm like, why at 10? Come on,
Thursdays, man.
Yeah, it's like
in Logan Square.
That's
like the new hot food epicenter. So for you to stop
really
selling, like everything is opening up in Logan Square.
Yeah, that's
it's scary.
Food Central. Yeah.
It makes me scared for you a little bit.
It does because
it's going to price you guys out.
Oh yeah, it's totally gonna. I mean, right now it's like I don't even know like these people who are living like next to us or buying these homes, I'm like, a lot of them are gutting these apartments, and I'm like, or remodeling them, and I'm like, who has money to do that to these 100-year-old buildings? And that's scary, because it's like right now it's like the house is in a trust, and so that's interesting. That's an interesting thing. I mean, we're still paying rent and stuff, but it's like it's controlled because it's like it's set by the family. When that changes, I don't think I'll be able to live in Logan Square.
Yeah, Wicker Park too, my sister's store. The whole block, even Walgreens, they bolted out. There was this great place that sold any kind of sausage you can think of around the world. They bolted right. It was the first place that closed down during the pandemic.
Between property taxes and just like competition too. Like,
yes.
I don't know how a lot of these restaurants are closing because it's like there's so many options.
There's a lot of options.
Yeah, like second generation.
And parking
used to be
too.
Mini-Mart. Well, parking's a nightmare.
Yeah, that's been my main problem. Fix the fucking parking, guys.
Well, I had found a parking before I went to work, but I knew I wanted to drink. So what I ended up doing was I was going to take an Uber home, but since they didn't serve food, I was like, forget these guys. I'm not dealing with this. So I drove home and took an Uber to Pequod's. I'm like, I'm going to drink.
Yeah.
Well, I have a question for you guys. Sure. Do you call it a parking like a parking? Like when I pull it, I'm just like, oh, I found a park.
Oh, you found a park? No,
I don't say a parking. I just say park.
I say spot.
I parked in the park.
I found the spot.
It's either a space or a spot.
I just say I found a park.
Wow.
No,
we're finding a lot about you, Jamaal.
I've never heard that before.
Because I heard you said I found a parking, and I'm like, and if everybody tells me it's that, but I'm like, it's a park.
It's short for a place.
Because parking is an action.
It's a verb.
It's an action verb. So it's like, no, it's not this. The actual space is a space. It's a park.
I think of it more like you're cutting off a sentence, essentially.
A parking space or a parking spot.
See, if I say a parking space or a parking spot, I'd be like,
you're cutting off a sentence,
and
essentially.
But if I'm like looking for a space, I'm like, oh, there go a park right there.
I don't know. I've never heard that one before.
Found a spot.
Yeah.
Because a park is a thing. It's a noun.
Yeah.
Parking is an action. Like, I don't
language
know. It's a little grammar thing that I've always
language nowadays is like what I've seen in my experience with people who are younger than me. Like language is very, very fluid. Like these kids are like it's all over. Like I'm like
they're picking up fast.
Well, it's hard to like. Sometimes it's difficult to like communicate because it's like, all right, what are they saying? What am I saying? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, and especially with the internet, with quick text to.
Well, there's DMs. A lot of slang that like I don't know, so I'm having to look up a bunch of stuff, and that's actually been a lot of fun.
It's all in the music. Just listen to the
music as well. Yes.
Listen to the music. Listen to black music because we're the trendsetters. No offense.
None taken.
We are.
None taken.
Oh, that's always kind of been the case.
It always,
especially with music,
comes from us.
Yeah.
Started with blues, started with jazz.
Until it gets misappropriated like woke, but it always comes from us.
Amen.
So you'll pick up on the stuff. You just got to listen to the music.
Okay.
Don't listen to Netflix because they'll like use the word or term in a way that's like
they're
not how it's supposed to be used.
That's filtered by their gatekeepers. That's filtered by their writers.
And the
Netflix writers
and the surveyors.
Yeah. I sometimes I feel like
they're kind of bottom of the barrel.
Sometimes I feel like it's just like the I don't want to say the basest of the basic, but I feel like they definitely have an agenda when they're writing.
It's AI generated, I think.
It could be because I was going to say that. I was going to say it's generated by an algorithm. Like I didn't want to flat out come out and say like it's generated like by an algorithm.
I'll say it.
I think so.
But there are times where I'm like,
why do you think they're making? Why do you think they're making a big deal over AI? Because it has happened. That's my whole opinion. Yeah.
It's bad. It's bad. So again, we stand with the writers. Our state of streaming address will come again soon.
We are the originators of that tagline too.
That's going to be especially
IGN. You stole our state of streaming.
They did.
We clearly had that at Fan Expo. We had that hashtag. We put that video out. You stole that from us. Just give us a little credit. Put us on the payroll.
Yeah.
And
Give us some dollars.
What was with them rating streaming services?
Oh, I hate
that. Was just like
even, I don't. Yeah,
that just didn't make any sense whatsoever.
I hate that.
Look, streaming services suck.
Yeah.
In general, you can't rate suckage. It's like the amount of suckage is like you can like. There's a guy on who does anime reviews.
Glass Reflection.
Mother's Basement.
Oh, Mother's Basement. Yes,
and
yes.
one of my favorites is when he does his trash anime. Yeah. Every year he's like chef's kiss to the trash. And he gives the way he rates them. He gives them a number of dumpster fires. He's like, it's a dumpster full of this or a dumpster full of that, and it's hilarious. And so I feel that that's the only way to like rate streaming services.
Yeah,
because nobody likes them. But that's how you get your content.
Yeah,
now.
And it's so backwards because people, for example, for Netflix, they would watch Breaking Bad. That'd be the only thing they watch. Things like
Friends.
Friends.
Yeah. Like, you know
Friends,
how
Seinfeld, those big, like, huge
Netflix
shows.
struggled. Like, they paid a ridiculous amount of money.
So when you're reviewing,
Friends.
So when you're reviewing Netflix, that's
until
why
they couldn't get it no more because HBO's like, oh no, that's ours.
We're
taking it back now.
Well, because then everybody's like pulling their stuff from everywhere, and so you're like,
it was Friends, Seinfeld, The Office.
Yeah,
those
were the big ones.
Yeah,
those were
Disney
the big
at
ones.
one point. Yeah.
No, I mean, like you said, Disney pulled their stuff off of Netflix.
Yeah,
Netflix. That's where they were making their bread and butter. But now, they kind of had to rely on their own stuff.
And a little bit of AI to find an algorithm what people like.
AI. All right. What's the new anime that's popular now? We're going to make that into live action. Yeah. They stole the Disney format.
Yeah.
Because Disney's been making all of their old cartoon movies into live actions.
Yeah.
So you're stealing Disney. And quality hasn't been. I mean, I haven't watched One Piece. They say that it's been good.
Well, I think that eventually they were gonna. I think just sheer percentages. They had to eventually make something that was good. They kept making these things that were bad. Eventually, they were going to have to it was going to happen. We're like, this is good. Yeah.
I mean, they took their time finding the right Luffy, so there was a little bit of they're trying.
A little more effort, I think, went into this because
I don't.
It apparently took them forever to find the right
I don't think it's bad because I mean, with Cowboy Bebop, I didn't think the casting was the problem.
No, the casting.
No, far from it.
It was the writing.
It was the writing.
The writing and the tonality.
It was the writing, the tone, how they completely just went off script, the creative choices,
and getting the hot property, getting the hot property right off the bat.
One criticism, it's all right, so you felt the need to change Faye's costume, and make it a little less revealing. But then the second episode takes place in a strip club, and you have the two guys hanging from a nude,
and Dom's.
a gigantic nude, billboard, and it's like.
And then you later on had the lesbian sex scene,
and two Doms,
and then the
nude
drug. Remember when they were processing the drugs?
Yes,
everybody was naked, and I'm like, so it's bad to objectify Faye and her costume. But then you're going to throw as much nudity as you can at us.
And sex. Yeah.
And it's but that's not.
Which was never part of the show.
It was never part of the show. The show was never that fan service-y at all.
The only nude scene was with, what's her name? Or his name. In the finale, mid-finale.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. The shower scene.
Yeah.
That's it.
That was it. Yeah. It was a show that didn't need that. And so I don't know.
It didn't need it at all.
But they made Cowboy Bebop, so they turned it into the most juvenile thing that you could think of.
Just a hot property mess. We got to do this fast because we need the press.
Speaking of which, I've seen the photos for the live action Avatar, and they look pretty impressive.
The Fire Nation, I saw.
Yeah, they have those Fire Nation photos, and I'm still really, really scared about
cynical.
I mean, it's like you said. I mean. It's scary because you have a double whammy with that because you have the stink from the movie, and you have the stink from Netflix's previous live action adaptations. So it's like you got double stink on there.
Well, not triple stink, because at a certain point, the original creators of Avatar kind of I don't know if they were let go or they walked off.
Yeah, correct.
So it's that's a triple sync for the fans because it's all right, why did you let these guys go?
Yeah.
It's like, what direction are you trying to take this in? Because they pretty much created one of the best animated series of all time.
Yeah.
And so it's like, why, Netflix, in your insane insanity, would you let go of these guys when they created that? And I can see like, all right.
Well, only the director was like,
because they did the same with like the Cowboy Bebop creator. He wasn't involved in that at all.
Yeah, no, the
but
director.
I think that's what made One Piece work, because I think he was more involved in the show.
Yeah. And then, One Piece is fascinating because the fandom itself is relatively new and old. Like, it's perfect stretch of threshold.
There's a good.
It's the younger people.
I think it's new to us.
Well, yeah,
but these kids have kind of grown up on this.
No, I agree with Jack. There's the older fans has been with it from the beginning.
Since Fox
I
Kids.
see what you're saying.
The younger kids are like super into it too.
Yeah,
and because of the old, so it's one of those rare anime that has both of the younger and the older generations, like both, like
in the middle at least.
I see what you're saying. Okay, yeah.
Like even Dragon Ball is like a weird, like older fans are a little bit. They're different than the younger crap, I would say.
I think the older fans of those shows are definitely what's keeping it going.
Pokemon as well
aren't as invested in Dragon Ball.
And Pokemon, unfortunately, because of so many like new seasons and such, and people still didn't catch up. Like the older fans.
Well, yeah, it's like Jamal's friend Kyle.
Kyle,
like he had watched
everything,
a massive amount of One Piece. He was like determined to catch up on this whole show. That's like 1,000 episodes, and I'm like.
You do you.
You do you, man. Because I'm not, it's like, I don't know if I have that time.
Even back then for me, I'm like,
that energy.
Look, man, I could have did that during COVID because that's what I did with Naruto because I had nothing to do. That was a big, long tangent.
Boss.
Yeah, we
but that was fun. This is the kind of stuff that happens when we get together.
It's been a while.
That's why we need to do it more often.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. But I'm glad that I actually have Saturdays off, so now I could actually do this. Because even though you guys were always like, yeah, you're part of the podcast, I was always kind of like, nah, not really. Kind of like a side character.
It's a club. Everyone's invited in the club.
Everybody's invited in the club. But now that I'm off on Saturdays and I could actually be here with you guys every time, I'm like, all right, now
I'm excited.
I can actually say I'm a part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm that's going to be really cool because it will give us like 3 different perspectives.
Yeah.
To these things. And Jamal's been like the key for us with Hulu and Netflix because I'm like,
oh wait, I have a message from Ernie.
I
have a message for Ernie.
Oh wow,
who's like the shadowy figure of the podcast.
Yeah, kind of like the Godfather.
Yeah, he is.
You're never gonna. You'll probably never hear him on the podcast. But he does. We get input and suggestions from him all the time.
He's a smooth one
that we listen to.
Yeah,
that we try to listen to and accommodate.
I did hear he did check out Psychopaths at least, so thank you for that, Ernie.
He is. He's going through his health issues, but he said once he gets better, he'll come on.
Oh, good.
He did say that.
Good.
So I was talking to him. We were talking about Ahsoka.
Oh, okay.
And, I was talking to him about it, and he said it was underwhelming. He said it was underwhelming, and he has this message specifically for Jack.
Oh, interesting.
Because he's one of those people that's like ever since he's watched Andor, like nothing really compares. And I said like Jack said the same thing, and he's like, tell Jack he's not wrong. Tell Jack he's not wrong.
I'm doing the yes
That's
motions.
how it is. Like.
Yes,
and
yes,
I'm like,
Ernie, yes.
And he admits that he's like, I know I need to separate these because Andor's his own thing, but it's just difficult for him to.
That was me with Mandalorian season 3 because it's not at the end of the day it's not even a weak season. It isn't. It's just a matter of like certain order.
It's
episodes.
A weaker season compared to the first 2.
I agree,
but it's not like coming off the heels of Andor. But again, we have this weird. And we talked about this when we talked about Andor. There's this weird thing where everybody that watches it loves it, but there's this like segment of like staunch Star Wars fans that won't watch it.
Yeah.
it's the weirdest thing. Like Len hasn't seen it. Alberto hasn't watched it yet. And we know how big of a Star Wars fan he is.
Both are relatively big
like
Star Wars fans.
Him and Edwin are like 1A and 1B of like Star Wars knowledge to me.
Yeah.
So to see them going back and forth about stuff is just incredible.
And Len's old school Star Wars. He does like the newer stuff. It's just a matter of
old school Star Wars. And there's been a couple other people that I talked to that like Star Wars haven't watched Andor. It's the weirdest thing.
Yeah, because the last 3 years alone with Disney doing their Star Wars stuff, people are still catching up.
Yeah.
Only Mando has been like the beacon of light.
So, Jack, you haven't finished Ahsoka, right?
No, but you guys can, like, I stopped at a good point, and I feel like I know where it's going.
Okay. If you guys want to jump into that, we can.
We can dive into it.
Okay. So, and I've had my discussions with my friend Short Round about Ahsoka.
Shout out to Short Round.
And
wait. Let me send a special shout out to Rosario Dawson.
Oh,
we love you. You're welcome on the show anytime.
You're timeless, baby.
I ain't got that kind of paper to fly you out, but I can get you lunch though.
C2E2. C2E2.
I'm just throwing that out there. I'm trying to give y'all some views, man. That's all.
Or you know what you could do? Fan Expo. Ooh, there we go.
I don't care what you do, as long as I ain't got to pay for it.
There you go.
You're welcome on the show anytime.
That would be awesome.
That would be dope, right? To get, you know what, Jackie needs to slide in the DMs.
Hey,
Jack, slide in the DMs.
She is on Instagram.
Slide in the DMs under the podcast name.
Should be number one,
and throw that out there.
Should be number one.
Just give it a shot.
So, I think that one of the things about Ahsoka that if you want to discuss is Filoni and which is the executive producer on all of these shows.
His name is all over it. It's hard to miss.
It's absolutely hard to miss. And I think that's one of the things about like this Disney iteration of Star Wars, in that he has so much creative control.
Yes, he has.
And there are times when like you feel that like if you haven't watched Rebels or the Clone Wars, you're missing out on some of these story beats.
Yes.
I felt that in Mando with Bo-Katan, because she had played in that one season of the Clone Wars, she had played such a significant role. And so the last season of The Mandalorian, I was like, are we watching Mando's story? Or are we watching Bo-Katan's story?
And that's something that Ernie said as well.
Yeah.
He said while watching specifically this show, he said like he knew of her coming from Clone Wars, and he was like, I feel like I need to watch that in order to really understand what's going on here.
Yeah.
Well, I think at least the last season of the Clone Wars, especially when I first started watching the Clone Wars, I felt like, okay, who is this character? This is not canon. This is not something
a new character.
But as you're watching the Clone Wars, Ahsoka becomes like
the show.
Snips. Yeah. Well, the show is essentially, I mean, it's their relationship. You're watching Anakin slowly but surely go over to the dark side, and you're watching the Jedi essentially collapse.
I have a question for you, because I was thinking about this. Would Ahsoka be the Harley Quinn Star Wars? Because
I get the idea of that. I mean, because
an organic idea, yeah.
Because Anakin essentially becomes the main villain in Star Wars. I'm gonna say no,
because I see this parallel where they were like characters that were created from these shows.
Well, I think parallel
kind of became breakout stars and
the focus.
Parallel in that regard. Yeah. Parallel in that regard, where like Ahsoka gained her own fandom and her own popularity. I don't think she's anywhere near as popular as Harley Quinn in like the pop culture lexicon.
No, not.
But like for Star Wars fans,
yeah,
she has her following. She's pretty big. But yeah, no, I can see that. I can see the parallels in that regard. As far as the character, no, like she has her love of Anakin as her master and her friend, and like that was one of the most important people in her life. But there's not the
love
psychosis.
Interest.
No,
yeah,
I never. Psychosis. It was more like I mean, some people might ship.
Yeah,
but because of her age, I think that would be kind of weird.
In Tales of the Jedi, her age threw me off. I totally forgot she's that old kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, she's that young.
Yeah,
that
she's
too.
That young. Yeah. In Tales of the Jedi, I thought I went back and rewatched her episodes from that after watching this and it did give a little insight for those that would like a little more insight into the character.
Never felt. Sorry,
you're good. I'm done.
I never felt that vibe coming from them or from her.
Me neither.
It always felt like a master student or even like a father-daughter. But there was definitely the closeness. And you see that in Ahsoka.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You see that in Ahsoka. But yeah, she's definitely, I could see the similarities between her and not the similarities with the character or within the show, but the similarities in her popularity and her growth and fame to Harley Quinn. I can definitely see that.
But you were mentioning like the Clone Wars and Rebels, like the character Filoni envisioned.
Yeah. Well, and I think what it is that you have to almost know some of that and those relationships. And if you know some of that, it makes some of the things in Ahsoka way more meaningful.
Yeah.
Especially toward the end, her relationship with the clone troopers.
Yeah.
And as she led them and as she grew, and like her relationship with Rex, all of those things play out in the Clone War in Ahsoka. But I think they would have been more meaningful if you had watched those shows. And that's where one of the things I think where Filoni fails is that it's like, all right, a lot of people have called this like Rebels season 5. If it's gonna be its own standalone thing as a live action show, your story beats and your emotional arcs shouldn't be so dependent on other shows.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
In other characters,
because
too,
it's going to be far more meaningful to people who have watched all the Clone Wars and watched all of Rebels walking into this because they know the characters, they know what's happened on those shows, and so they're going to be like, oh, I get the emotional beats. Like when Sabine finally sees Ezra, you're going to understand that a lot more because of what they've gone through.
Yeah, because when I'm watching the show and I see all that Sabine is going through for him, I'm like,
Why?
Put the universe at jeopardy for this one dude who you can't even be sure is alive.
Yeah.
You did all of that for him, and everybody knows that I have a strong hatred for a hero that can't make the tough decision.
Yeah.
So for her to be there
for Sabine, right?
We already see
we know that they're like rant.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, I hate Infinity War. So we already see that she has the map in her hand, and he's like, drop the map, I'm going to kill Ahsoka, and she doesn't do anything, and he's just like, all right, off the edge you go, and Ahsoka dies. So it's like, they already proved that they're not going to give you what you want. So then it's like, all right, give me the map, and I'll take you to him. Why should I believe that? You just killed the leverage that you had. So for her to give them the map, and then to go through all of that, it's like, the story had to have the Ezra ending, because otherwise you make your hero look like a complete and utter idiot.
Yeah.
But they were a complete and utter idiot. So that disappointed me a little bit, because I'm like, they did all of that about the map, and it was just too easy for them to get to Sabine. That was a little convenient for me.
Yeah, there was a lot of things in the show that like I felt like
it felt a little rushed.
Not only a little, it could have been. This show could have been much longer, than it was, and I think it needed to be.
I think so too.
Much longer,
and we rarely say that with these Star Wars shows.
Yeah,
but this one, it needed more time.
Yeah, it needed more time. Like, there were emotional beats and story beats. I don't know if I'm going to catch heat for this, but it's like if you're writing an animated show, you need different writing and not yes and no, but there's a different, like, I don't want to say quality, but there's a different level of writing for an animated show than for a live action show.
Yeah. For length, I can understand because of the length of production alone.
That's not actually necessary, because we talked about Avatar, and the writing for Avatar was amazing and at times very sophisticated for an animated show. So I know that it's possible,
especially a Nickelodeon animation.
Yeah. In general.
But coming from Rebels, I felt, and that's kind of like, I felt that some of the writing in Ahsoka was at the level of like a Saturday morning cartoon, especially the last episode. Yeah. And that's where it's like, I don't know if I was running into issues with this, because I felt that the writing, especially for Sabine, was a little weak.
I thought she
wasn't my favorite character, to be honest.
Like almost like, all right, why is she here? what are you guys doing with her? She seems like almost, I don't want to say an afterthought because she was like an integral part of the show.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like,
it's a swerve.
She felt so weak.
Yeah.
Like
for me, it was a swerve.
She felt like a really weak character.
She seemed like a Degrassi character to me. Like a Degrassi character who's mad at their mom.
Edwin's.
That's what it felt like to me.
I can't say anything.
Look, Ray is
for the sake of my health right now, I cannot say anything.
When Edwin has the motions going,
for her especially, I felt that the writing was
Very
not at a level. I felt Ahsoka had a much more interesting story arc in every sense, and so that's where like the show had its moments where it was like really, really good.
Yes.
And I felt like, oh my God, I love what I'm watching. And then there were moments where it's like, why are you doing this? What is the point of this? Like, Mm-hmm. And I think that Sabine, I mean, she has interesting moments. There's a moment where her and Ezra are on the ship talking to, I can't remember the name of that droid right now.
Hugh Yang.
Yeah, Hugh Yang. Where he's talking.
Who was great.
Hugh
Yang was great. It was one of my favorite characters.
David Tennant, I mean, can do no wrong.
He's so good.
Yeah.
He's so good.
Yeah, David Tennant is good in just about everything.
Hugh Yang was incredible.
Yeah.
And in many ways, he was kind of like the epicenter of the emotions of the show.
He really was, which was kind of surprising coming from a droid.
Yeah.
I mean, I love R2-D2 and C-3PO as they are in Star Wars, but they're really the comic relief.
Yeah.
But in this, Hugh Yang is, and I love that they picked David Tennant for this because he gives it that emotional weight.
Yes.
And he's kind of there like observing everything and kind of like he is essentially Ahsoka's Chewbacca.
Yeah.
He's seen it all.
Yeah, he's like, I've lived a long time. Yeah. I've seen it all. He's like, I see what you're doing. I don't really agree with this.
Right.
But I'm going to let you do you. You know, there's a lot of moments with him and Ahsoka. He's like, this is not what I would do.
Right.
But okay. And he does that with Sabine too. But one of my favorite moments, and one of the things that I thought was a lot more interesting for Sabine, was the moment when Ezra's just in there like snapping his lightsaber together like, dude, I'm a Jedi. And Hugh Yang makes a comment, and you could tell that Sabine just feels hurt.
Yeah.
It's her own insecurities racking her.
Oh, yeah.
And she leaves. And I thought that was a far more interesting moment than a lot of the moments that she gets.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
I agree.
That's the thing.
And it took way too long to get to that.
It did.
It took way too long to get to that.
And then you kind of lose it in the last episode because the last episode, like my friend said, a lot of the beats were predictable. It's like, where's the writing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you know, she has like a thing, right? Since the first episode, you're like,
I mean, once they introduced Thrawn, they were just like, all right, our job's over.
Yeah.
It just felt like, all right, we got our big bad.
Thrawn was interesting. Thrawn was a lot more.
I liked Thrawn.
So did I. He was a lot more interesting than I thought he was going to be.
I agree.
I was wondering who the actor was.
Yeah, I don't know.
Lars Mikkelsen.
Okay.
Whoa.
He was really like
he played it well.
I thought he played it really well. And while I thought that they spent way too much time overplaying the witches, yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of weird to see witches in Star Wars.
I was okay with that because
it worked though.
They've kind of been there since the beginning. There's a shot in Return of the Jedi, I believe, where the Emperor's talking to somebody. And he always, I guess Lucas had always wanted to have Force witches, but they never, it was kind of like, you know, just like a female version of like
a Jedi,
but with like, you know, more like a mystical kind of like dark side kind of thing. And they play that up in a lot of different things throughout, especially the Clone Wars, the Dark Sisters from Dathomir. They play it up in the games too a little bit, but it was interesting to see. But the way that they used it in this was kind of weird. Yeah. Like they were his advisors, but then they kind of like, I don't know. It was just a little bit odd.
It was like they were his advisors, but once they brought him back, he's just kind of like, all right.
Yeah.
You've done your job.
Yeah. It's like, all right, it's like you guys don't need to be on screen, but you're gonna get more screen time, and it's like, okay.
That was a little.
Well, that was part of his group, and he had his group because he had his interesting stormtroopers that were kind of like, this is kind of dark in a fun way. And that the zombie troopers I thought was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a fun little. Oh yeah,
Thrawn.
Yeah.
Thrawn.
But yeah, he was a lot more interesting than I thought he was going to be for a villain. And I thought the actor played him really well. I thought he was a great foil for Ahsoka.
So I know you read the Thrawn book, right?
Oh yeah, long.
So
yeah.
How did he measure up to what you visualized when you read that book?
He was a little bit different. I thought, for me, Thrawn was a little bit younger and a little bit more charismatic. This guy, while I enjoyed his performance and I thought he made a good foil for Ahsoka, he was definitely giving off Elon Musk vibes. He was definitely giving off Elon Musk vibes, and I was like, that's not my Thrawn. Like Thrawn, in my vision of him, was a lot slicker, a lot more military general. Like this guy gives off vibes of like, I'm like my own kind of like, no, Thrawn felt more disciplined, more militaristic and a lot slicker than this guy. But this guy gives off Elon Musk vibes, but that's not saying anything negative. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I have my vision.
I know what you're saying.
I had my vision.
It was a different take on it, but it still worked.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah.
Okay.
I want to ask you guys about something because I felt this about like a lot of the fight scenes and just a lot of the scenes in general. I felt that it was very choreographed.
Yes,
right?
Especially the first episode, especially the first fight was setting. Yeah,
it was a little too choreographed.
Yes,
and then the scenes were just a little too like. So I don't know. So for every season of Mando, there's an art book.
Yeah,
where it shows you like this is the way
at the ending, post credits.
They show them in the post credits, and this is the way that we set the shots. In this show, I felt like every single scene was a shot.
Yeah,
like it was almost too like there was
too perfect,
right? Yeah,
there
was
perfect.
No translation from the art scene to the actual real life scene.
It's weird. It's kind of like where we've gone.
It was a little off-putting.
Yeah, where we've gone to. Like even the first episode where she's just racing down that track and it feels like she could go forever. Yeah, and that's kind of cool. And she's racing the X-wing and everything, but it's like, what's the point?
I agree. It felt too perfect. Yeah. I mean, I know Jack will back me on this, like with wrestling today, and how like. It's just too choreographed sometimes.
Yeah.
Where it's like, all right, you do this, and then I'll do this, and then I'll do this, and I'll do this, and it doesn't look like a fight. It looks you have to work with each other for this to do, and it's impressive looking because you're doing this flip, and he's flipping this way, but at the end of the day, it doesn't. It looks too good.
Yeah. It makes it look like
a fight's got to be a little rugged. It's got to be a little dirty. It's not going to be perfect. You might slip. You might miss it.
You need story elements. You need somebody hurt. You need something like with a factor. And with the choreographed spots.
To Sabine.
Yeah.
But that's like the only fight where it really like. I felt like the stakes were kind of missing.
Yeah. She's just not drawn out well in that show. To be honest,
she kind of brought the show down a bit.
Yeah,
her acting wasn't bad at all.
I thought it's
just the character development. Yeah.
The former Jedi dude was really interesting to me.
He was like a really complicated character. From the beginning.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I really enjoyed his story and seeing him and Ahsoka was like, okay, I want to see more of this.
Yeah.
Less Sabine. More of this.
Well, it's more. That's really interesting because
his little youngling.
Yeah.
Shin. Here you have.
She's good.
She was interesting too.
She was interesting as
well. Ewan McGregor's daughter. Fun fact.
I did not know that.
You didn't know that?
No.
Yeah, they made a thing. And then.
So Obi-Wan's daughter.
Yeah, and then his current wife, Hera. That's his current wife.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That one I knew.
Yeah. Scott Pilgrim.
Okay, so the whole family McGregor is in there.
Yep.
And
his uncle was in the original film.
See, I don't like that. That kind of ruins it a little for me. That's a little too inside. Because now it's like
it's just coincidence. At least with his uncle.
Y'all are on different sides and in the same. It ruins it a little.
Yeah.
But I'm going to pretend like I didn't know that.
It was really interesting to finally see Ahsoka essentially confront a Jedi who was there like after the fall.
Yeah.
Especially since she had left because of what the Jedi had become.
Yeah.
And so this guy is definitely like not a Jedi anymore.
Not at all.
Like he is following his own path.
And he made that very clear.
Yeah. My favorite character in the show.
Even though there were moments where he still kind of followed the Jedi creed.
Yeah.
He was very much like, I'm not a Jedi anymore.
Well, I think he had realized that. And one of the interesting things is just like Ahsoka, she realized this doesn't work anymore. And that was one of the things about the show, though, that kind of bothered me in general, was like, okay, so this is the Ahsoka that's going to train somebody. She had walked away from this because it didn't work.
Right.
She knew it didn't work. And so she was going to walk away from this. And then here she is training someone else. So essentially be like master and student. And I'm like, or, master and Padawan. And I'm like, wait, is this something that she would be doing in her character from the Clone Wars?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. I don't always agree with that choice. Yeah. But as a villain, this show had some really great villains.
It did.
And it gave me, one of the things that I really liked about this show was it gave me like a 1980s kind of like fantasy movie vibe.
Sci-fi fantasy, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's like, there are times where it reminds me of Excalibur. There are times where it reminds me of like Crawl. There's a bunch of like 80s like fantasy adventure films where they combine kind of like space age stuff with like fantasy. And there are moments, and that's for me, that's when this show works at its best, when it's combining those two, but it doesn't manage to do that as well. The stuff with Hera, I didn't find particularly interesting. The political wrangling.
She was kind of paint by numbers to me.
I liked her.
She was
in her spots, yeah.
Yeah, I liked her as her character.
Yeah.
But I felt that a lot of her storyline was a little bit like we need a foil for her.
Intrigue,
yeah. But it's like I never bought that this was a real thing. I just felt like it was, this is what the story necessitates.
She never felt that rebellious against the senators or anything. It felt like, we don't think that. She's just kind of like, yeah, okay. And they're just like, it's fine, go on, do with it. It didn't really feel like I'm breaking orders. You had Carson Teva in this again, who was, I'm 100% sure he's Gina Carano's replacement. Because they put that dude in every show. He's in every show. There's always like the Carson Teva art. You had that. And Hera's son, what was his name?
Oh,
Lucas Giolito, whatever his name was.
Yeah.
Jacob, Joshua,
Jason.
With it, because Jason with the hit, he had the little Jedi powers, so it was like, okay, but in seeing his relationship with Ahsoka, and then her relationship with Sabine, it was just kind of like, again, like you said, like, would she really be teaching somebody? And it felt like she's at least done something with him or noticed something with him. And with Sabine, she's just kind of like, nah.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Sabine was a Mandalorian.
Yeah.
But took her helmet off.
Yeah.
Which was weird to me too.
I know.
Well, because there's different sects.
Oh yeah, explained in season 3.
Yeah, there's different sects of Mandalorians. Some that and they essentially put Mando into like this weird religious sect.
Yeah.
Of cultists.
But after 3 seasons of the Mandalorian, well, 4 if you count Boba Fett. After 4 seasons of the Mandalorian, when we're coming off of this big arc about him taking off his helmet, I think you need to make a point for continuity's sake to explain something about that.
In the timeline too.
You gotta drop something in
and it always goes back to the timeline too, like, okay, when it's Ahsoka,
because it kind of looked like the suit that when Boba Fett came back and that dude was running the city,
the sheriff guy.
Yeah, the sheriff.
Yeah.
Okay. It looked like his type of suit.
Okay.
To me. So like, still, you need to have. I think coming off of the 3rd season of The Mandalorian, a line or two for continuity's sake would go a long way.
Yeah, especially with the timeline. Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, I completely agree because Bo-Katan wasn't part of.
Right.
Yeah, Bo-Katan wasn't a part of that either, and so, and I mean, it makes sense. It's a planet, so you're gonna have different like religions and sects and like.
Absolutely.
So that makes sense, but yeah, knowing which part and how Sabine fit into all of this, that was one of my things when I first saw when I had first seen Rebels a while back, or the promotional material. I'm like, oh, they're gonna have a Mandalorian, and I think this was before Rebels came out, before Mando.
Yes.
So I'm like, all right, wait, you're gonna have a Boba Fett like character on this show, and I thought it's like that because you just think it's cool, or because you want to explore this, in this show. And I think at some point they do explore it. I haven't watched all of Rebels. I've watched a few episodes, and I've seen like a few of the later episodes with Ahsoka when she joins.
Yeah.
So it's like, what was this, just a creative choice? And if it was, how did this play out? And yeah, you should specify. All right, her family was on Mandalorian when the Empire destroyed it, but like, what does that mean?
Right.
To her? Like, this definitely means something to her, and her rift with Ahsoka. So I think they could have explained that, and that's one of the problems too, where it goes back to like, hey, Filoni, should I have watched Rebels in order to like understand?
It's like, almost like you need a weird like standoff thing with Ahsoka herself, the main titular character, essentially. So.
And we haven't talked too much about her.
Yeah, exactly.
And her arc.
I was looking forward to that too. That's part of the reason I didn't really finish. But like, I want Ahsoka's story, or at least a story of Ahsoka.
Well, she has she has an arc in the show.
She becomes a teacher.
Yes.
And her arc is less about her relationship with Sabine.
It's more about her and Anakin.
Yeah, it's really that's what really plays out in this show.
Yeah, surprisingly.
Because even from the beginning, she's mentioning Anakin.
When she pulls her Gandalf, when she pulls the Balrog fight, when she pulls her Gandalf and comes back as Ahsoka the White, or Ahsoka the Gray, there's a moment, and it's really that moment where she has to face Anakin. She has to face Anakin and learn,
similar to Obi-Wan.
Yeah, learn her lessons from that. I thought that was really like her whole. Until then, I felt that she was very. I don't know if you think constrained is the right word. Very like
just there.
There was something.
It did feel
limited.
It felt like they were holding back.
A
bit.
Or holding back.
It did. There was that feeling of she's holding back, and I got that from the beginning. And it wasn't until the story unfolded that I understood it. Because when I first watched the first few episodes, I'm like, Rosario's doing a good job, but there just seems like there's something.
Yeah.
It just is missing. Something's just being held back.
Yeah.
And then once you get through the whole story, you're like, oh, okay, I get what they were going for. So now, like, looking back at it, it's cool, but it may have been a little too much. Because it may have turned some people off from it.
The withholding at the beginning.
Yeah.
Well, I think that plays into it being a longer show.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. And I think that whole the whole arc with Anakin, I think, should have played out a little bit sooner.
Yes.
Yeah. I think there was.
Absolutely.
I think we've got a little too much filler with the Hera and going to the planet, and then the Imperials and conspiracy, and like, hey guys, there's things going on behind the scenes that you aren't paying attention to. And I think that's where like a longer. Do I think that it needed to be 12 episodes the way Andor was? Maybe not, but I think that would have given it more room for you to expand and grow on these things.
Yes,
I agree. I think that you could have focused more on what everybody was doing throughout. And I think that would have helped to give them all more room to be developed a little bit more than they actually were. And not only that, but to give it a little bit more, I don't want to say realism, but to give it like
brevity.
I don't think brevity is what we were looking for here. Well, it's like what you said. It's like, look, if I'm watching a show, you have to keep me interested.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, all right, I will watch your character's journey, but you have to give me something that keeps me interested during that journey. And I don't think that they were giving people enough to keep them interested to get there, you know?
I agree with that.
And I think when you talk about Andor and you talk about Ahsoka, you have to decide what kind of show that you want to do.
Yeah.
You can't kind of like, it's like, all right, with Andor is Andor. With Ahsoka, it's like, all right, you want to have this political intrigue going on, but it's like, in Star Wars, there's political intrigue, but that's in service of the story.
Yeah.
And that what was happening here, but I never really cared, you know? It was just like, all right, you have to have this political intrigue and these senators, but they don't feel like they're serving any real purpose except being a foil for your characters. And I think that kind of like sells things short.
Yeah, and it goes back to me with the timeline because of Andor, which happened after Ahsoka's story, right?
No.
Okay.
Wait, Ahsoka in which part? Because Andor takes place before Rogue One. Rogue One takes place before A New Hope.
Yeah.
Everything that happens in Ahsoka takes place after Return of the Jedi.
That's the thing. Yeah. So it kind of like reminds me back of Andor. I'm like, okay, I'll try to realign those things.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. You're trying to
get
the timeline.
How the dominoes fall.
You know, Jack is very. He needs that timeline to be linear.
And I can understand.
This is not. None of this is linear.
Exactly.
Yeah. Andor. Well, I think Andor is the only show that happens before A New Hope because Mando happens after Return of the Jedi.
Yes.
And so does Ahsoka. And I had talked to people about like where we wanted kind of like a Ahsoka show, and you see a little bit of it when she has her battle with Anakin, where we wanted that show that happens after she leaves, essentially the Jedi Order, and like what happens to her. Yeah,
I think that would have been a more interesting show than what we got here.
Yeah.
But they had to bring Thrawn in. So, do you think Thrawn is going to be
the big bad?
The big bad for the movies, or is he going to be a big bad for like a big Disney Plus crossover event?
Well, we'd have to go back to our state of streaming because I think what's happened is Disney's lost a lot of money.
Yeah.
On these shows,
they're probably going to go back to the basics.
I think that they want to do movies in order to get money. I think they need an infusion of cash, and I think that their idea to do these, because I had talked to Short Round, and they were going to do the last 2 episodes in the theater, but it like sold out like instantly, and I'm like, well, why didn't you just do a bigger run of it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, why didn't you just have this in more theaters? Like, I'm sure like a lot more people would have wanted to go to see those last 2 episodes in the theater, and I think what you're going to see is Thrawn will probably be, if they do a second season of Ahsoka, which I don't know that they will. I mean, they could. I mean, there's enough story there for more.
Yeah, I think.
But I think that they've talked about the Filoni-verse ending in a movie. When you're like with Mando, Bo-Katan, like all the characters coming together,
the big crossover.
Yeah, and fighting Thrawn. And I think that in order to make money, they would do that in the theaters. Yeah.
Well, that's what.
Yeah, and I see
the streaming thing.
Yeah, but you can't avoid it when you're talking about Disney.
You can't avoid it, but that should be the model for them. We had these Disney Plus shows that are going to serve as marketing tools for our movies, and that's kind of what they've done with the Marvel shows. Yeah. It's just like, all right, we're going to give you Captain and Winter Soldier. We're going to give you She-Hulk. We're going to give you Hawkeye. Marvels. We're going to give you all these little things. But it's eventually going to lead into the big Avengers crossover event movie. And you're starting to see that with the Marvels, with Miss Marvel getting up in there. And what's her face? The black lady from WandaVision. That's in the Marvels movie too.
Yeah.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Scarlet Witch.
No.
Yeah, no, not Scarlet Witch.
WandaVision.
But she was.
She's I can't think of her name right now.
Oh, the villain now. Yes.
No, she's not the villain.
Oh,
she gained powers by walking into Wanda's illusionary world.
Yeah, so now
the
she
supposed
has similar
powers to
Captain Marvel.
Yes.
Yeah. So now you have those two characters that were from Disney Plus shows that were established in those shows, and now they're being folded into the bigger Marvel universe. Yeah. So now it's like, oh, I could take these two shows. I have this movie now. And now we could branch off. These were marketing for this movie.
Well, I think where they failed, and I think that this goes back to Filoni, where while he's done a magnificent job of feeding into our nostalgia for Star Wars, I don't think that he's done enough to grow what Star Wars is.
Exactly.
I think so. You think he's rehabbed the image?
I think he's I think with Mando, he brought back where J.J. Abrams failed was he repeated. There was the repetition of the story,
beat for beat,
right? Beat for beat, and that's where he failed in Force Awakens.
Disney too.
I think where Filoni succeeded was instead of going beat for beat, he brought back the emotional weight of the tone, the spaghetti western tone, of
the origins,
A New Hope. Yeah,
the origins.
That's what he did with Mando. He brought that back. But I think where he failed was to grow it into something more than just that.
Yeah. And
I think that by relating everything to the Clone Wars, back to the Clone Wars, or back to Rebels, he fails too, because it's you need to expand this out. And how are you going to expand this out if you're tying up all your story beats? Like with Cad Bane or Bo-Katan, you're tying a neat bow on these characters, and even characters when they killed what's his name, Moff Gideon. When they killed Moff Gideon at the end of season 3, it's okay, so you're just gonna leave everything to Thrawn to carry that everything? He's gonna be your big bad, he's gonna be your everything? Maybe that's not such a good idea. And it's will we see Fennec in the movie? It's I think they failed in that they never did a movie in the interim.
Right. I agree.
Between Mando season 1 and Mando season 2.
I agree.
We should have seen a movie, and you should have decided creatively, what are we going to do with this universe, this interrelated universe that we're doing? Mm-hmm. We're not doing anything with it.
Yeah. I mean, and when we talked about season 3, we talked about how they kind of introduced Moff Gideon back way too late. He should have been a big bad for a movie. Introduce him in the show, get the payoff of them defeating him in the movie.
Yeah.
That's just simple.
That
simple
final
storytelling.
Yeah, that final episode felt like a movie too. It did.
Yeah.
It did. Oh yeah. That felt like that was movie quality.
That could have been.
That was movie quality.
Yeah, seeing all of the. I was having
you love that.
I did. Yeah. I was having Rocketeer vibes
for sure.
Man, seeing all those stormtroopers.
Flash Gordon for me.
Yeah, seeing all the Mandalorians fight the stormtroopers with jetpacks. It was just man, this is awesome. That was inside of the cave, everything exploding.
It was literally the sketchbook you were talking about.
I mean,
that's the sketchbook. That's what we envisioned.
Well, that one more came to life than in Ahsoka. But Jamal's right. They could have done that as a 2-hour movie release. And so it's you have to go to the theater to watch it.
Pay money.
You pay money. You make your money. You have your connected universe. And in there, introduce somebody from Rebels or,
right.
Have Sabine show up or have Hera show up. Right now, like you said, they only have that X-Wing fighter pilot guy that shows up and everything.
Carson Taylor.
Even one of the characters from Rebels shows up in that's Mando season 3, right? When he goes looking for help, there's the large.
Yeah.
I can't remember Adeb. I think he shows up in an episode of that, and I'm I know that character, but it's it's not enough.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not enough. I don't think they've done enough creative. I don't think they've done enough to expand the story out from what he has, and so it's all right, we can go see.
They did a little when they brought Cad Bane back for Boba Fett, and again, it was just a.
Yeah, it was
all right. He's here. He's out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's too. It's
and
like
it was like that was a big moment for a lot of people. And then
you had a lot of Cad Bane fans.
Yeah.
Who were like excited to see him in live action, and yeah, it wasn't like okay, he's there and he's gone, and it's like wait. And that's what I mean. It's like, all right, we're going to tie this up into a neat little bow, and then it goes away, and we never see it again. And it's like, but these are things that we want to see again.
So Filoni is too self-serving.
I don't think that he's
just trying to tie in knots of all his stories.
He's tying up all these things for this universe that he's created, which is good. You rehab this, and you've created this Disney Plus universe that's been very successful.
But where's the expansion?
But where's the expansion?
Where's the growth?
You bring this to the movies, that's something different. Yeah. Like you have Rogue One and you had the Solo movie, which were outside of the episode.
The early stages.
Well, let's talk about let's bring this into let's bring this into television and streaming.
This is weird because you have Rogue One. It is kind of backwards, where you should be using Disney Plus
to grow,
to market and grow into the movies. You used Rogue One to market for Andor.
It's the early stages of this whole thing.
Yeah. So I mean, unless they are trying to drive subscriber rates up.
I think what happened was that they had Star Wars. It was a hot property. They created the Filoni and the guy from Marvel. Oh my God, what's his name? I can't remember his name. Happy. He plays Happy in the movies.
Oh my goodness! I know exactly what you're talking about.
He dated Scarlett Johansson.
Did he?
I think he did.
No, I'm not.
In his movies, it seemed like he did. Favreau.
So they worked. I know they worked on Mando together, and I think that they had something. And I think that's when Disney was really like, all right, we want to create our streaming service. We want to have something on our streaming service that will bring people to it. But I think, and it's been this was pre-pandemic. Mando was I think almost a year, like 2018.
This was pre-pandemic.
Yeah, we're talking 2018. And I think what they realized in the interim was that, hey, we can't make enough money to do this. We're going to lose money doing this. And so we need to get back to movies. And I think that's where they're going to go now.
Especially if you're using A-list stars.
Yeah.
Especially if you're
I think they used A-list stars because that's the way cable worked.
Right.
Like with Netflix was using either creating or using, and HBO was using A-list stars. And so I think where they went wrong, and then what I want to ask you about this is like using the cable model on streaming. Like you're only doing like 6 episodes. Does that give you enough room to have these characters coming back? Like you mentioned Cad Bane. So Cad Bane's there for like an episode or 2, but then it's like if you have a 24 episode season, and I'm not saying that we need to go back to that.
Right.
I know I'm old school and that's something that's faded into the past. But if you have, like with anime, if you have a 24 episode season, you have the space for these people to keep coming back and making reappearances. And people get excited about that because they're like, "Oh, my guy's back!" Or the character that I like.
Yeah, that's why I waited for so long. Yeah.
Right, and so it's like, but you can't have that if you're only doing 6 episodes. It's one and done. And
it's a story, an overall story,
which is why it should be, which is fine if you're going to leverage that into bringing them back into the movie, because now it's like, hey, look, we're just giving you a taste of what you get. Now you got to spend the money. It's the old wrestling booking model.
Yes.
Where it's like, we're going to talk you into wanting to see the fight, but you got to pay to see the fight. We're not going to let you get it on free TV. We're going to let you get a taste. They're going to talk about each other. They'll interrupt each other during each other's matches or whatever. But if you want to see this, you're going to have to pay us money to see this. And it should be the same thing. It's like, all right, cool. We got you here. We're giving you a little of this. We're bringing you a little Moff Gideon. We're bringing that. They've revived him. That's it. We see the shot of Moff Gideon back. You got to see the movie to get to him. That's where it should be. And then that way you can, A, not only are you marketing your show, you're driving people to watch it, but B, you're also leveraging the star power and monetizing it. So now it's like, yeah, I might have to take a little hit on their rate for this episode or 2, but I'm going to get it back with this big box office money that I'm going to get because they know he's going to show up.
Well, the Lucas model, Lucas essentially is an independent filmmaker. And what he would do is that he would get the money to make the movie, and then use that money to make another movie. And then that's the way he did the prequels. It's like, and Disney's not doing that because the streaming just doesn't
it doesn't add up.
It doesn't add up for them as a business model. It doesn't work for them. And I think most streaming services are realizing that as a business model, it doesn't work.
Yeah, sadly, Crunchyroll's backtracking now too.
Well, the way television worked is that it was
ad rates.
Ad rates. Yeah, this all came from ad money. Television only existed.
Yeah. No. Well, what he's saying is the reason why these shows were that is like, all right, there's most people are watching from this time to this time, from whatever it is, 6 to 10 or whatever. Yeah. So we know the most eyes are going to be there. So we're going to put these popular shows on during these time slots because now we can raise the rate of the ad. And so that's where he's going with this.
Okay, I was thinking
it's streaming. Not the same as with streaming. It's not quite the same.
Yeah.
Like as we said, how do you measure that? Because it's like, all right, it's streaming per show. Are you placing the ads in the middle of the show? How effective is that? As Jesse brought up, the in-show ads where they might show the Coke can or driving a Ford car.
Yeah.
But it's like, what is that really? How do I know what is a view?
Yeah. Who are you marketing to too?
Who am I marketing to? How do I leverage this view?
And it's like, what does your subscription cost actually need to be?
Right.
It's like, what is your budget? It's like, I feel like a lot of these, because of credit or whatever they were doing, it's like they were overspending on shows and creating content to the point where it's like, all right, how many subscriptions are you getting? How much are you charging? And does that cover the costs of what you're doing?
They're 10 years late.
Absolutely 10 years late. Like Netflix is like way late.
Password sharing. Oh, shit.
You guys shouldn't be doing that. Look, man, we've been doing that for a decade. People grew up doing that, and now you want to tell them, no, you can't do that anymore?
Sorry.
Get out of here. You're insane.
The password sharing thing for streaming services is like jobs when you get a new boss and they're like, all right, the first thing we're gonna cut payroll. Like, all right, you're gonna go to the same old thing.
Yeah.
You're gonna cut payroll. Yeah. That never works.
No.
You're hot shotting. It's a quick fix. It looks good for a quarter, and now you're back in the dumps.
Yeah, sadly, they've been going for quarters.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
And so with streaming, it's the same thing. It's like, all right, we're going to cut the password sharing. All right,
it's a way to show their shareholders that they're doing something, but it's not really a solution.
If I'm a shareholder, it's not a solution at all. I'm actually upset with you.
I wouldn't even invest in
long term.
I would not invest in it at all.
Well, I mean, it's a hot property.
Yeah.
So people are going to invest because it's like, oh, Netflix.
Well, day one kind of investment now.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, as a business model, I mean, we've talked about this. I don't see how it works. Even like if you have let's say you have 100 million subscribers, paying you you're making $100 million, but you're spending like $10 million on each show, each episode. It's like you're gonna run out of money real fast.
Yeah,
and that doesn't even cover your operating costs and what your CFO or your CEO what they're making. So it's like, how does this work? And I think for a long time it was just either credit or they were operating in the black. And now they're realizing, oh, wait, we need to figure this out or we can't pay our staff. And of course, your staff, for whatever fucked up reason, their staff is the first thing was like, oh, we got to cut our staff.
Yeah.
Like, no, you don't need to lay off people. No, you don't need to get rid of your animation division.
The people that actually work for you.
Yeah.
Ironically.
The people who are actually giving you product, maybe spend a little less on your production. And we've talked about this. Not everything has to look like it's movie quality for everything,
or getting the hot property like Cowboy Bebop. Yeah.
It's like, look, lower it a little bit on shows where it doesn't matter. If you're making a comedy, maybe it shouldn't look like $1 million, like you spent like $10 million on every episode.
We all grew up on the shows where it's just like they used the same set for this show, this show, and this show, and we didn't care.
No,
Family Matters.
Like every Western,
Fresh Prince,
every Western was filmed on almost the same exact backlot in movies. studios knew how to save money back in the day. They reused all kinds of stuff.
Porno scenes, they done the same thing.
Okay.
Well, I'm glad you went there. Okay.
All right.
That was something else. Transition.
So, yeah, let's get back to like.
All right. So, and the thing is, all these, the Netflixes and stuff, they're starting to lose some ground in terms of the landscape of streaming to these free streaming services. Yeah. Your Tubies, your Plutos, your Freebie, whatever. Because I mean, they got their system where it's like, hey, look, we have the Fresh Prince channel. We're playing Fresh Prince 24/7, and it's ad supported, so I can see, all right, this show is bringing in this amount of money with the ads. So it's like this one channel, you're just getting this stuff. So it's like I know what you get a better idea of what this stuff is going towards, what it's going for.
The new syndication, essentially.
It's kind of like the new syndication, because that's where all the syndicated shows are going. It's not like they're going to Netflix. They're going to Pluto.
Well, the crazy thing is like
Roku channel.
Yeah.
Some of these shows are like 10 to 20 years old. Yeah. And it's like, where's the content? Where are the shows? Streaming's been like 10 years. Where are the shows that people are going back to on streaming?
Not Stranger Things.
No, it's just not. It's not happening the way it, like, who's rewatching Stranger Things regularly? Where is this on syndication? And it's
more of the chase with that show.
Yeah. Well, my thing is, it's like, have they created? And Stranger Things is a good example for one of those shows.
It's a great example
where it entered into like the pop culture, like
biggest Netflix property
lexicon. Yeah.
They got the Stranger Things ice cream in stores.
Oh, everything. Yeah. They pretty much, and that's where I felt that like Netflix should have realized, hey, we need to create more shows like this. We need to not leave this alone.
Yeah, and not just buy everything and create everything. Whim.
Well, I think that they tried to be too many things to too many people.
Too many chefs in the kitchen.
Yeah, in a sense. But like, they want to have like their crime shows. They want to have like their sci-fi shows.
The reality crap.
They want to have their humor shows. They want to be an entire. And the thing is that networks used to buy this from studios, and so the network wasn't like. The studio was taking the brunt of it. The streaming services are the studio. They are the network. They're everything in one. And so they have to cover the entirety of that cost. They can't pick and choose. They just create what they create. The way the studios did it was they did a sample show. They said, hey, we're going to make this sample show. We're going to make an episode of this show. Yeah. We're not going to commit to it.
We're going to give you the pilot.
Right. We're going to do the pilot, and we're going to try to sell it to some of the networks. And so they didn't have to commit to making 6 episodes or 12 episodes or 24 episodes. They just spent the money there and said, okay, do we like this? Yeah. And the network would say, yes, I like this. I'm going to order a full season of this. Streaming services can't do that.
No.
Once it's there, it's like, we're doing this. And that's it. And so you can't tell whether like, hey, you can't, there's no one covering the cost of this. It's a full show. And I think that that's kind of like a crazy thing to do. But when you have like all the studios essentially creating their streaming services and like, here you go, this is what we got. It's like, we got to cover the entire cost of this. And here we go. We don't know what's going to happen. And there it is. And I think that's, and I don't know if it's just, I'm being like, oh, here's my old school like way of doing things. But I'm like, it just made more sense to me.
It makes more sense than ever now.
Here's an idea. And I don't know how this will work. You have your ad page, you have your free stuff. Like, what if a Netflix were to be like, all right, here, we'll have this tier where you just get access to whatever shows we're distributing. Boom. As supported, boom. But if you want to go to tier 2, this is where all of our originals are going to be. We're going to have time slots for them.
Crunchyroll's kind of doing that.
Go at this time. Or, do the Pluto where we have the Stranger Things channel, blah, 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 and you have your ads there, and you try to monetize
They've kind of done that. I think Netflix has kind of done that in France.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
where
for
they
the big
have
streamers.
they have you can watch like Netflix TV, where it's like they have like certain things at certain times, and you can watch it.
Thus, VPN stuff.
Yeah, you can watch it like that structurally.
So I think that structure would help, give you a little idea. Like
Crunchyroll's essentially doing that.
But yeah, so like Kitchen Nightmares is back, or like when we were watching Robert Irvine's show, Restaurant Impossible.
Oh, okay.
And it's like you said earlier when we were talking, like what's your food cost? What's your cost of goods sold? Like he's asking this stuff because now with that information, I know what to charge for this plate of food.
Yep.
So if you have that structure in place for streaming, you can be like, I know what to charge for these ads. I know how to sell it. It has that TV model to it.
That this is our big show.
Right.
Do you want to be an ad around this show? Before, after, in the middle, whatever, or do you want your product placed in this show? Yeah.
So if they do that, and it's like you're only going to our Netflix originals, you're only going to see it.
They have done that with NBC, for example. They would do like presented by blah blah.
Yeah.
And then nonstop, or maybe one commercial halfway, and that's it.
Well, the thing too is that Netflix bases their creative choices based on views.
Yeah.
And that's why they never really go beyond the third season, because they say most people don't watch beyond the third season.
They exploited it.
You have to have your hardcore fans. And Stranger Things being the exception, because it does have those hardcore fans.
Yeah, Narcos.
Yep. Or the Narcos spinoffs.
Which
Stranger Things spinoff.
There's been some other ones. I think that On My Block show did more than 3. I think
it's just that 1%.
But
was it that Lily Tomlin show with
Jean and something?
Yeah, her and was it Jane Fonda?
I think so.
Yes.
I think that went a few seasons too.
Yeah, I forgot how many seasons.
4 or 5.
Yeah.
I think they're doing their last season. I think it's like 4 or 5.
Yeah. It was like a slow rise too.
Yeah, but it's really rare, and because Netflix bases it on the views. So if you have your view information, that's something that you can take to advertisers and say, hey, look, this show you're getting this many eyeballs. They're watching it this many times. So like, hey, if you want to do an ad, do it on that show. Instead of and then like you said, have the shows that like, I don't want to say that nobody's watching, but that people are watching, but not at the same level as like these other shows, and move those shows to your higher price tier because those shows are probably costing you more.
Right. And that way you're able to, like you said, you're able to monetize it. Or not monetize, but you're better able to,
or even say to yourself as a business, like on my ad-free one, we're only going to spend X amount of money.
Yes.
On producing the ad-free shows.
Absolutely.
Okay,
yes.
So this is what you're going to get. You're going to get mainly like comedies, or like
reality TV, cheap
TV.
television.
Yeah. This is going to be your free or low cost. Yeah. Anything else, like, hey, we're going to put money into this,
like the movies, like
Prestige. Yeah, we're going to put. This is going to be our Prestige one, where we're going to put more money into this. This is where you're going to see the A-list actors. This is where you're going to see like the big stuff, or like even like have an ultimate tier where it's like, hey, this is going to be like the big.
If you pay
stuff
for the year, essentially, I see that.
I don't really think year. I think they're getting more money by doing month to month.
Yeah, it's the bread and butter.
It's the reason why they don't offer the year subscription,
because the year is technically discounted.
The year is going to be
a lot of,
and it's a one shot deal. Like it's easy for somebody to just throw $150 once a year and then forget about it. But like if you got to do $20 every month, boom, boom, boom.
Well, because that's a steady. They know that.
I knew I'm getting that 20.
Yeah,
I know I'm getting that 20. I could easily pay that $150 and be like, after a couple months, no, I'm done.
Yeah. But with the subscription, that's steady revenue.
Steady.
That's coming in month after month after month. And people usually, because it's a smaller amount, people aren't as concerned and they're more willing to pay. Like I will pay $10 to $15 a month, but you say, hey, give me $150. I'm like, I might be more reluctant to like say, I don't know that I want to give you $150 right now with all the bills that I have to pay.
Right.
But like $15 to $20,
I can justify that.
I can do that.
There's a hamburger. I could throw that.
Yeah. And with Disney model having like one episode per week kind of thing, you could get at least 2 months.
We knew that was coming.
Yeah.
Me and Jamaal knew that was coming.
At this point, I prefer that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because it's like I don't have time to. Sometimes I don't have time to binge stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like giving me one episode. I'm like, all right, I can watch one episode.
Yeah.
Like I can fit that into like, between like my anime.
All the anime. Movies.
Yeah, between all my anime.
Books.
Between, books, manga, like sports, everything else that I'm trying to fit into my life, work, friendships, whatever. I can fit one episode of The Mandalorian to that. Real easy. Because I'm excited about it. But like, all right, you're going to give me 6. I'm going to get binge anxiety where it's like, do I have 6 hours to watch this?
Yeah.
It's like, not really. It's like I can stay up late and be like all tired at work the next day. But if you give me one episode, it's like I can get through that. I can watch my anime. I can watch Mando, and maybe I can read a little bit or listen to something. Yeah. So it's like it's a little bit more balanced. But no matter what, I think there's like way too many shows.
And it's like you said. Like I was talking about that at work yesterday with who was it? One of my coworkers. I think it was Jacob, and he was like, he's behind on his anime because he's been binging like Archer. When I'm binging, I really don't have time to watch the other stuff.
Focus.
Because I'm focused on binging this stuff. Yeah. And so it's like, I used to be able to be like, all right, I'm going to have my binge show, and then I'm going to have my week-to-week show.
Yeah, or Dave show, like one episode for that day. That's what I did with a few anime.
But when you have so many things that you want to watch, or like trying to keep up with stuff for the podcast, it's like, oh my goodness, there's so much out there.
Yeah.
So, but it's like you said, I could give 15 minutes here, I get 15 minutes here, I get 15 minutes there. I could piece that together.
Yeah.
But when it's and it's like you said before, you could watch 15 shows because it's like, all right, I could piece these 5 together. That ain't nothing but an hour and a half. And I'm knocking out 5 shows.
Yeah.
So it's like I could piece that together. But if I'm trying to binge a show, especially if it's like network television where it's like an hour long, 45 minutes, it's like, that's a lot of time to devote.
And ironically,
I just don't have the time to do it all.
Ironically, you remember more with those little bit of snippets. Ironically, at least what you remember. Well, with the show.
Remember like people. Sometimes people will ask me like, "Oh, what's your favorite episode of this show?" It's like, and I'll be like, "There were episodes."
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Because when you binge, everything kind of gets jumbled together.
Yes,
it blends together to the point where you're like, "I have my favorite moments. I have my favorite interactions. I have my favorite characters." But can I tell you like about a specific episode? There's no way.
Yeah. Well, what I did with Jujutsu Kaisen, the Shibuya incident, I had to binge because I knew it was going to be one big epic fight, and it technically is.
Yeah.
So.
I mean,
some things work like that.
Some things are better.
That's the only example I could think of.
Some things are better to binge, and we've had that discussion before.
Yeah. Well, it depends on how they want to narratively do it.
Right.
Like if you have where it's just like one big 6-hour movie, then maybe you want to binge. But if it's episodic, then like okay, I can just watch this and then like
how it's set up essentially.
Yeah.
Definitely. That was a long discussion.
That was
from
straight.
That was from Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Well, we technically started with the barbershop. So hey,
I think that in the future we want to like
we'll talk about like what weird things we do.
Well, it's because so much of this like Jamaal was saying, so much of this, like the creative choices, it's like, are the creative choices based on like the streaming model? And it's like, that's something that we like, it could have been longer. They could have done more episodes.
Essentially, they essentially have big strides, but they have to go backwards, leaps and bounds. That's
the thing that's the wrench that streaming services throws in.
Yeah.
Because you have some things that are week to week, and you have some that's just like, all right, we're just going to throw it out there. Disney Plus, they're pretty consistent. We're doing week to week.
Yeah, anime in general.
We're going to get one a week, and I'm okay with that.
Same.
Because even if I miss it, it's not like television where if I miss it on the day that it happens, I'm stuck. It's like, all right, I missed it. but I know I could catch back up. It's there. But when you throw the binge model where Netflix sometimes we're like, all right, we'll give you a week to week, or sometimes we're just like, all right, we're going to throw all this at you, or we're going to give you a half and then throw the other half. It's just like, it's too easy for me to just forget.
Yeah.
It's too easy for me to forget because I'll watch a couple episodes and then I'll just be like, move on to here and just forget about
Len's
that.
Been trying to get me to watch The Bear.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he told me.
I'm not sold on it.
I know that it's there, but it's like, all right, I need to find this show. I need to figure out what streaming service it's on. Then I need to watch it. And
if it's like, and FX is like a premium for some certain platforms too. It's like,
no, FX is Fox, so everything's on Hulu.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard for me sometimes. So like, all right, I know that because I've been trying to get him to watch Andor for the longest time.
He won't do it.
And it's because he has so many shows and he's working on his own podcast. So I get it. But I'm like, dude,
that's not an excuse.
His podcast partner loves the show too.
Because when I did the show with him before, we talked about it before the show, and we're like, Len, you have to watch Andor, and he keeps saying, yeah, I'm gonna do it, and he hasn't done it yet. Len, watch Andor.
And Idris is one sexy man.
Jack, that was not part of the discussion. That was not part of the. It was all right. It was who is more popular. Michael B. Jordan or Idris Elba. Like the sexy man thing, y'all can have that. I'm not going to get involved in that. But again,
I think that if you're going to talk about that, I think women find them equally sexy, but I think for different reasons.
Yeah.
But like that's not like a conversation I feel I need.
I don't need to have that conversation.
I think that they're both.
We need a female presence on here for that.
I think
female presence is welcome.
There you go.
Especially you, Rosario Dawson.
I think that they're both amazing actors.
Absolutely.
And I think that
Michael B. Jordan's a good director. He's got a good touch.
What did he direct?
Creed. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay, I haven't watched that one yet. But I think they're both amazing actors. And we can't sell Luther enough on this show. Except for the
Don't watch the Netflix movie. Don't watch the Netflix movie.
Speaking of bad Netflix. Speaking of bad Netflix.
Don't think that is an entryway to Luther. That is not.
Please don't.
No, because the show is so much better.
The show is so much better than that.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so bad.
Yeah.
That was bad. I can't sell it. You know what? But it's cool because now I got time. I got Saturdays, baby. So
it's more free.
You earned that right.
We have
a little bit more free riffing.
Yeah.
Than our usual structure.
Yeah, that's fine.
But like we'll have to bring Jamaal. Like if we can do like Eminence and Shadow.
Yeah. So now I could actually because I don't think I've had like a sit down like episode discussion with you guys since
Mushko Tensei,
Ascendance. Like it's been a really long time. Part of me kind of felt bad, like always coming in with like, all right, catch up. I got all this stuff. We got to hit all these quick things, but I like that I'll actually be able to have a deep dive with you guys because I'll be able to sit there and enjoy the show instead of like, all right, let me hurry up, catch up on this. All right, I did an Edwin catch up. I need to do a Jack catch up, and it's like, all right, we're all watching this show now. Now it's like, all right, I could just take part in it.
Well, I think the catch-ups have been fun because
the catch-ups are still fun.
Yeah, because it gives us a chance to like revisit some of the shows from like a new perspective.
A new perspective for sure.
Yeah,
and I feel like there's another show that I watched.
Did you watch the 86?
No.
Okay.
Now I couldn't finish.
No, you know what it was? It was 91 Days. I watched 91 Days.
Okay.
I don't know that I know that one.
Same here.
It was a show on Crunchyroll. It was kind of like a Prohibition era show.
Oh, that's interesting.
And this kid's, they killed his dad. Someone in some like Japanese like Yakuza gang or whatever. they killed his dad, and he's like going off on revenge to kill everybody that like got his dad. And so it was just like over the course of 91 days, him plotting through all this. It was interesting. Cool. It was interesting.
All right. And that was a spring or winter?
No, I think this is an older title.
That's one of the things that annoys me about Crunchyroll is they don't have the release years.
I was about to say they got to reformat. Like, let's say I'm watching.
This was 2016.
Yeah. Let's say I'm watching SLF and it'd be like, oh, you like that show? Here are 3 other shows that are similar genre, but the years are just completely off. This one's from 2012. This one's from 2017.
Which I don't have a problem with.
It's just a matter of like,
my thing is when like they're saying, hey, just updated on Crunchyroll, and they have a show that's like from 2012.
Yeah.
Just because they pulled it off of, finally pulled it off of Funimation.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, maybe I'm not feeling that vibe right now.
You have to reintroduce it somehow.
You know?
Yeah.
My thing is, it's like, all right, maybe I'm not feeling a 2012 show right now. Because I know, like, having watched the massive amount of anime, but that's definitely something that I feel that Crunchyroll needs to work on.
Yeah, reformat.
Like, just let me know when this show came out.
Yeah.
Don't tell me that this show is new.
Well,
don't try to throw it into, like, and if you're doing, like, the Portuguese dub, don't tell me that it's new when you're doing a Portuguese dub.
Yeah.
It's
like, it's fine if somebody's watching it in Portugal. I have no problem with that. But it's like, don't try to tell me like shows that I like will pop up and I'm like, oh, the English dub is out.
Right.
No, it's
French.
Yeah, it's French. In that region, sure. Do that in that region.
Everywhere.
But don't tell me like, okay, it's new here. And I mean, like, I don't have a problem. Like, I'm not saying anything against like other language dubs. I'm just saying that maybe that shouldn't be in your updated category in this region.
Yeah. And that's what I mean with the reforming. Just some
and let me know. Let me know when these shows came out.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I know that storytelling has changed over the course of the last 10 years.
Yes.
The last
Streaming
20 years.
General,
You know, so if you're telling me I'm watching a show from 2001, that's going to be really, really different from a show right now.
Yeah.
I might like it, but at least let me know.
Yeah. High Dive's been sneaking around with that too. And there have been shows that I'm surprised they weren't on Funimation or like, it's like they had it this whole time kind of thing. It feels like it that way. So
yeah, to me, it just feels like filler. It feels like some Netflix pill.
Yeah. Or even Amazon. The more I think about it, Amazon.
Well, Amazon is just nuts.
Yeah.
Amazon Prime.
Because Amazon, they have more of the standard
We have not talked about Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Because that is a rabbit hole of horrendous shit.
Yeah, but classics.
It really is.
Yeah.
But classics too.
Well, it will have some classics, and I have the videos that I've purchased.
Yeah, that's
to watch,
the thing. Yeah,
but like, let me tell you, man, when you go looking for stuff on there, it's a rabbit hole of like horrible movies from like multiple decades.
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel it's the same with the anime. It's like, what am I watching? Like, I've tried
Invincible soon, aren't we? Isn't it in a couple weeks?
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
I'm really excited for Invincible season 2.
I'm really glad that you guys liked the show as much as I liked the comic.
Yeah,
I think I stuck with the comic for about I think it did 125 episode run or issue run on the comic. I think I stuck through to like the 90s.
Really?
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, and I even collected some of the hardcover volumes. Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, I think Jesse read the comics too.
Yeah. Well, it was like getting in.
He was super excited to watch the show. So that's going to be one that we're going to have to cover.
Yeah,
we're going to have to,
especially if we tie it into My Hero.
Well, it was
like those shows.
One of the things that I really liked about Invincible, and there's some storylines that you can't do now because it's like going on like 15 years old now. But one of the things, because it was the ground floor of a new character.
Yeah.
And they really, really did a really good job, I think, of giving you like almost a satirical take on comics and superheroes before The Boys came out.
Yeah, The Boys, I was thinking.
Yeah, The Boys is a little bit more extreme than Invincible, but Invincible still has that satirical element where it's like it plays with these things like, hey, look, if you can do X, then you can do, X, Y, and Z. And I think that it takes it to its extreme. But I think that's one of the things that I like most about that show is like they don't really like with Adam Eve, like she has a house. She essentially makes a house for herself in like some other country because A, she can fly, and B, she can control the, how that's part of her powers. And so it's like, she just has a house somewhere else.
Yeah, she's like Yuna.
Yeah. And then so it's like you don't really like that's not something that a regular comic book would do. But you're like, they take those steps and go like, all right, if you have this, they just, branch it out. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, hey, if his dad is part of this evil empire, where's this evil empire? Here they are. It's like, and how does this play out?
Yeah.
It's a strong show, man. And it's intense.
Yeah.
It gets very intense.
Yeah, that show does not pull any punches. It gets very
intense, and the voice acting on that show is really, really good, too.
Yeah, they picked some really great people.
That's why I've hesitated with The Boys, because Invincible is that good. It's like, I know I get the trope. Even My Hero has dived into his own take, so it's like...
No, I mean, I haven't watched The Boys.
A lot.
Yeah, they do.
I know Glenn loves The Boys. I haven't watched it just because I don't think about Amazon Prime enough.
Yeah, that's the thing.
So...
that's oddly enough. That's where I watch most of my crime shows.
Well, at least the older ones. Yeah, Bosch. Bosch apparently the new season's gonna be on Freebie or something like that.
Oh, is it?
I think so. Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's owned by Amazon. So
that's the thing. And now these free commercial syndicate things is like,
I mean, those are the new. Those are the new thing for streaming, and they're quickly gaining because it's like it's free. Anybody can use it. I don't have to pay for a streaming service. It's like free cable TV.
Yeah.
Especially
free cable TV. Prime. You're getting hundreds of channels. It may not be the newest stuff. It may not be the most popular stuff.
But if it's free, it's free. Goddamn it!
But it's free, and you got stuff, and it's there.
I've even watched foreign cinema through there. I'm like, I'll just watch it.
You're like,
there's
because on demand can add up, and every once in blue moon I will do it on demand.
Yeah. It's got stuff for everybody.
Yeah.
If you have kids, they got the Baby Shark channel. They got all these other little kid channels. So it's just like I don't have to pay for cable. I could do this. And we're good.
Yeah.
Or I could just flip through this. All I got to have is internet and I have all of these things. It works. Me personally, I refuse to watch ads with streaming. So,
well, that was kind of the whole point of streaming.
Yeah.
Ironically, the simpler days.
But, I mean, these people have found a way.
Advertising in general.
Wow. To do that, like, to be, like, I will tell you, that I have suffered through the ads for a couple of those Tubi movies because they are some of the most horrendous things that you will ever watch. They are horrid, but I want to give them credit for like being an avenue for a lot of independent filmmakers, especially independent filmmakers of color, where it's just like, hey, you have something, we'll buy it, we'll put it on here, and it's getting put out.
Yeah.
And it's creating an avenue for a lot of these people where it's like, you know what? Netflix won't buy this, they won't buy this, but Tubi will. And I could get ad money from them. It works.
Two birds with one stone.
It works, man. So it's like these free things are coming up, and it's just interested to see like what they pay because they got hundreds of channels. Well, I got the Degrassi channel, I got the Steve Irwin channel, I got the Breeding Rainbow channel. Like, how much does it cost to purchase the streaming rights for these?
It can't
cost much.
Yeah.
It can't cost
much.
It
can't cost
these
much.
Are a lot of,
even PBS has their own streaming.
Well, these are like really older shows, and so. Like whoever owns them, I'm sure like they're like, hey, yeah, you're gonna pay me.
Sure, take it.
Yeah, sure. Here, as long as I'm making money off of this, I don't care. And I'm sure like if Amazon owns Freebie, they're like, okay, we get these viewers, and maybe we'll run some ads for our shows, and they'll sign up for Prime or whatever.
The deals are coming soon.
Yeah, so it's like
their commercials are.
It's a way, I think, to draw people in with stuff that doesn't cost a lot of money.
Yeah, their commercials at least are consistent and steady.
See, you mentioned Prime and look.
Yeah, they
Prime
can hear us.
Outside.
They can hear us. Whereas I saw
they are listening.
Whereas I saw Tengoku, I used the basic one for Disney and Hulu. Commercials for Hulu are bad.
I don't watch commercials. I pay for no commercials.
Those Hulu commercials
are awful.
Are like, I sat there and I'm like, whoever's matching these commercials to the shows is insane.
Yes.
They have no idea how to market to anybody.
Zero.
And who's making these commercials? Because this is not normal people that is making these commercials.
They're thinking like a specific Silicon Valley
I usually don't pay attention to the commercials, but I started watching the Hulu commercials, and I'm like, this isn't like eminent.
It's like Eminence in Shadow.
Eminence in Shadow. Because it's like you're watching this, and then all of a sudden there's like a burst of crazy, and then you go back to your show, and you're like, what just happened? Yeah. And
commercials through anime, it's interesting. It's definitely designed that way, but it's like,
I'm not doing it. Yeah. Like I had Hulu way before. I had Hulu like when it first came out, when it had the ads and had the shows, and as soon as they started offering ad free, sign me up.
Yeah.
I refuse to do ads.
I
have the Plutos and stuff, but I don't really watch it.
Yeah, it's just one. I'm not for a specific movie.
It's interesting that you say there's got to be cheap because Crunchyroll just added their channel on there, a bunch of older titles.
Yeah,
but I could just imagine how it could draw people in.
Oh yeah.
Ironically,
how Crunchyroll essentially started off
free marketing. So it's like these channels just like, why shouldn't Netflix get you a channel on Pluto? Free marketing for your TV show, for your streaming service. Draw people in.
Yeah, especially with like these higher prices. Jesus, $23 I think they're going to charge now
for Netflix.
If T-Mobile wasn't paying for my Netflix, it wouldn't be happening, boss.
Yeah, I don't know how much longer I'm going to keep Netflix.
If T-Mobile wasn't paying for my Netflix, I wouldn't have it.
Yeah, especially during the holiday season. Yeah, people are gonna be like, on demand.
Because I think all of them are going up.
Yeah. Disneyplus,
like we said when you stepped out. I think I heard that Hulu and Disneyplus are combining their services. They're merging and combining their services, so that's going to go up.
Well, I know Disney had Disney, Hulu, and ESPN.
Yeah,
you could buy that package.
Yes.
And so, but I think Hulu has a lot of live sports anyway.
Yeah, it does.
For their cable crap. But I think YouTube.
I think I heard that those two. I think I heard Disney Plus and Hulu were going to merge.
Okay.
They were still going to have ESPN
Disney had already
separate.
Bought them, but already. So
because I think what they said was it Comcast still owns like a small percentage of it.
Okay.
But I think either at the end of this year or the beginning of next year, that Disney's supposed to acquire the full 100% ownership of it, and I think that's why they're going to merge the two. Which ain't.
I don't know. I think for me,
I mean, it'll be under one app. I'm sure they'll have like a here.
For me, branding wise, I think they should keep it separate, but.
I think so too.
Yeah, because Hulu is definitely a different experience than Disney Plus.
I agree, but I mean, it's like we've said before, and like you've mentioned, like content, man, content.
Yeah,
like
that's my ultimate thing. Like eventually, we gotta go back to the square one.
Well, we talked about like them eating each other.
Yeah. For me, just get physical property because, like for example, Comey, Netflix, streaming it now, but what if one day Netflix is like, okay, we're not getting as much subscribers, we need to cut off some slack. Comey has been watched in like 2 or 3 years. We haven't had a new season in a couple years.
Well, it depends.
Well, they could do it's going to be just like it is for TV. They're paying for the rights to distribute that.
Yes.
They just let the rights lapse, and somebody else could pick it up and be like, all right, we're going to.
That's the thing.
So that's the way anime works with the studios.
Yeah.
It's like one studio did it. They don't have time to do the second season. Another studio will walk in and say, okay, we're going to pick it up and do it. But it's like we were having this discussion. Me and Jack were having this discussion earlier. It's like, who gets the money?
For the anime studios.
Right,
yeah.
because NHK was mad at Netflix for doing commercials when they don't do the commercials during the anime. So me and Jack were like, all right, who's paying for this?
Yeah.
How are they paying for it? In Japan. So here, when it comes to anime, that might be its own little world as far as like
the rights,
the distribution rights, but also like who is Netflix paying and what are they paying to them?
Yes.
Because is it a one-time deal? Is it over the course of time? Because when you go to Freevee and stuff like that, that they're paying residuals to whatever actor or however that's structured here in the States. and we know that they just had the writer's strike and actor's strike for that because of streaming.
Yeah.
What are they paying for these older shows, and who are they paying? And that might be why they're using them. And then how does that work with anime? It's like, who's getting, like, if Crunchyroll is showing all these older shows, are they paying it to anybody, or have they bought them outright into perpetuity where it's like, these are our shows now, this is our catalog, so we can show them whenever we want? How does that work?
Yeah.
Because that becomes interesting, because it's like, if you're showing shows, you're showing anime shows from like the 1990s, who's getting this money? What studio owns this? And what kind of deal are they having? Like, you could go back to Studio Gold that kept a death grip on Robotech here in the States.
Yeah, it's good example.
Now,
good example.
Yeah, even now they still have like kind of this death grip.
That's a fascinating story.
Yeah, they have this absolute death grip on that show to the point where you can't get like new content.
Yeah.
How does that work with all these other anime and the studios that produce them?
Yeah.
And here's the thing where it's going to get dirty, because eventually Sony's going to come out with its own streaming service.
Yeah.
They're going to do it. They've been trying to. They've been trying to.
It has not worked.
But they're going to buy something. They're going to do it. Because you already have Crunchyroll, you already have Funimation, so you have this large anime lineup. They have the entire Sony Films history. So it's just like, hey, if they could buy a
that's one of the things that
studio,
confuses
me. A Paramount or if they buy that,
I don't think they need to.
I don't think they need to either. But
I think that what they should do is include it in their. So the way they have games, I think they should just include movies in that. Where like, okay, you have your subscription games, and then you should just have your subscription movies.
Okay,
the way Netflix is trying to make games.
Yeah.
Well, they kind of have that. Well, you saw you.
Well, they used to have that.
You got the update on the PlayStation 5, right? So they just came out. If you click over to the media tab, they have their thing called PlayStation or Sony. I don't know. I think it's called like Sony Cinema or something.
Okay.
And it's like that where they have
movies that you could
watch.
These
free movies that you could watch, but then they also have like the Spider-Man Far From Homes and everything that you can buy and rent.
Yeah.
Well,
they had that before.
They had
it just
that before.
Didn't work really well.
It did not. I didn't do it. I knew people that bought like the Sony TV thing.
Because oddly enough, that's the only place where I could buy Harley Quinn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was weird. I had to buy the first season of Harley Quinn on there. It was really, really weird.
Yeah, because it's supposed to be linked up with Max, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
But for some reason, that's the only place that I could buy it without signing up for Max. It was really weird.
No, and that's what I was trying to go with, because at one point we're just going to buy what we're going.
Well, they had done like they were the first. They were one of the first ones to do their own show.
Yeah.
Content wise, it was a superhero show that was absolutely terrible. I mean, this shit was bad. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? And it was kind of like a proto Boys, where it's like this is like almost like My Hero.
Yeah.
Where it's like you have real people dealing with people with superpowers and how that would work out in society.
Yeah.
And it was just so bad. Yeah. I don't know if you remember
It's called Sony Pictures Core.
Okay.
Core.
Yeah, so if you go to like your PS4 or PS5 and click over in the media column, you have it. If you have PlayStation Plus.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you have PlayStation Plus. A lot of the movies on there are terrible. But, the free ones.
Yeah.
But then you have the other Sony movies, the bigger ones that you could buy.
Yeah.
So, to me, that's just, when I saw that, I'm like, all right, this is a pilot for them. They're seeing how they could work this, because they're rolling, they got the movies. They got the anime. They just need the TV. And once they come up with the TV, they're going to buy it. I'm afraid they're going to buy some rights. Like, I know the rights for what is it, Viacom or whoever owns like BET and MTV and whatnot.
Yeah, Viacom.
They had that pitch, and like Tyler Perry was like, I'll pay like $2 million for it. Now I think they wanted $3 billion. No, I think he said he'll pay $2 billion, and they said they want $3 billion or something.
Huh.
And it's like, what if Sony just goes in and buys that?
They could.
Like, when these little things go for sale like that, they could buy up that stuff. And
similar what
there's
Microsoft.
your content.
Yeah.
because they got a large library of movies. They got the largest library of anime available. They got games. It's just like the streaming service is coming. I'm just interested to see when it's going to happen and how it's going to happen.
I don't know. Sony is such a weird company. They do such a great job with their games.
Yeah.
But not so much with other things.
Yeah, not on par with movies. Yeah. So like the consistency in movies.
They're kind of all over the place with their movies. Having Spider-Man is a big boon for them.
Yeah. And they are pimping that out as much as they can.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're going to...
Well, but, I mean, the movies... Well,
I'm sure the legal fees that they paid to keep it away from Stan Lee were, like, just... They're trying to make their money back.
Yeah. And then Netflix is going to have the Spider-Verse 2 movie.
What?
Yeah, apparently Netflix is going to have Into the Spider-Verse, or Across the Spider-Verse.
Well, I think that's just like they paid for it. So Disney's like, you can have it, but you're going to pay us X amount of money.
Well, okay. Like they kind of did because they have the HBO shows on there now.
Yeah.
So it's just like, we said this was going to happen in Netflix. We said this was going to happen because they don't come out with enough of their content that people like. So it's like, all right, we got it. All right, Disney, we'll pay you some money. Let's get this. All right, HBO, we'll pay you some money. Let's get these shows. And they're not even giving you their best stuff.
No. No. But I think that I think it makes sense in business-wise because then that way people won't leave your service to go watch something somewhere else.
It does make sense.
Yeah, they're like, okay, I can watch Into the Spider-Verse on here.
Because the first thing people think of streaming, like the first instant is Netflix.
Netflix, of course.
It's Netflix. Yeah. So but it helps them, but then it's like, all right, well, if this is a war...
it is a war.
You're buying from me. I'm still making money on this. Yeah. And then it goes down to the breakdown of the money. How's this ad money going to go? It's my show. You're going to have to give me a piece of that too.
Yeah, residuals.
So it's like, how much are you really?
Well, it's whatever they establish behind the scenes, whatever contract, whatever they tell Disney. Like, and I'm sure that Netflix is going to be like, all right, we will pay you for Into the Spider-Verse, or Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
But we're not going to, you can only like do X, Y, and Z. You can only have it for a certain amount of time. We want whatever money you're going to get from that. And Netflix can say, they agree to whatever works for them.
It's during the holiday season, so they're looking for holiday numbers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, but that's not something that we're privy to.
No.
But I think
we can get a critique on it.
But I think it makes sense for Netflix. Because it's like, hey, I'd rather, if I can watch this show on a streaming service that I'm already paying for, and I don't have to sign up for 2 other ones just to watch these other shows, yes, please give me more. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, will they become codependent on each other to the point where it's like, all right, who's making what and what's the point? It's like, that's insane. I think the sports thing is kind of interesting.
Yeah, the highest numbers.
Because it's going to be very interesting. Because I'm really interested to see what happens with the NBA.
Which is, Well,
because their media rights fees are up. And
I've been trying to watch 3 different sports.
Baseball would benefit extremely if they did that.
Well, baseball...
Viewage-wise. They had their own channel.
I don't know when their media rights are up.
Yeah.
I know the NFL's this past year.
Yes.
They renewed theirs. And I know Thursday Night Football is on Peacock and Amazon, but Sunday Ticket is on YouTube.
Yes.
So they bought the rights for
Paramount's included.
I think Paramount's not included in that.
Oh, I mean, they do streaming as well.
MLB, they're probably going to go to Max because Max is starting their sports tier. And they have
fighting, right?
They have their baseball on Turner, TNT, and TBS. Yes, so they're probably going to get a bunch of money from Max. So you have that. I'm really interested to see where the NBA goes. The WWE just got over $1 billion from USA Network for SmackDown.
Conglomerate.
Wow. Right?
Yeah.
So they got...
They got
$1 billion from Fox for the last 4 or 5 years,
roughly,
and then they just sold the media rights for that show that Fox had to USA Network for over $1 billion.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Over $1 billion.
And this is before the merger.
My God.
Yeah.
So over $1 billion. So if they're getting that kind of money, I know the NBA is going to get crazy money.
And it's more marketable, more international.
And that's just one. And that's just one of their shows. Yeah. WWE still has 2 other shows that the media rights are up for that they can sell. So,
well, the NBA that split into divisions too, right?
Yeah, they had the Eastern Conference, Western Conference, but
they can split that up too.
As a whole. I don't think they're going to split it up.
Yeah,
because I think
it's more international.
Because it's more so the days, right?
Yeah.
So right now for NBA, they have NBA TV Tuesdays and Thursdays. TNT, NBA on TNT has
yes.
So they have the NBA on TNT on Thursdays and Tuesdays, and then ESPN has Saturday, I believe, because ESPN is Sunday Night Baseball.
Good call.
So ESPN, I believe, has Saturday basketball. So that's how it splits up. We get these days to show the games.
Okay.
So every other day, you have a game every day, but some might be on NBA TV.
Insane.
They might be on.
It's all
not your local networks. We're talking about the national televised.
No,
games.
I know. Yeah.
So if you got to split across 3-4 different days, NFL they have Sunday, Monday, Thursday.
That's it.
So NBA they have Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Baseball has Sunday
night. That's it.
Saturday night, but no, they have their other TNT shows.
Yeah, in the postseason.
TNT and TBS, baseball. I'm not sure which nights those are. I think those are
Wednesday.
Yeah, so they sell the days basically. So seeing what that's going to be insane because it's like, okay, ESPN might pay $10 billion to maintain their Saturday, but what if Max comes in and says, "Hey, we're gonna keep Thursday, we're gonna keep Tuesday and Thursday because we got the best studio show in the game, so we're gonna keep that with us." What if Netflix comes through and buys them?
Yeah.
Like if Netflix joins in the fray,
because I mean, nobody expected Sunday Ticket to go to YouTube. Nobody expected that.
Yeah.
And they fetched a lot of money for that.
Yeah.
They put out the best offer.
And YouTube's been the most packageable of a bunch.
So what if you do that? What if Sony comes through and it's like, we're going to buy the rights to it?
They could.
The UAE is buying everything. What if they are like, we want to buy the rights? I don't think it'll ever happen. Nobody expected them to buy the PGA. They bought the PGA.
Yeah.
How do you manage to watch sports then on a daily basis? Like if you want to watch a game.
You steal it.
Apparently, because this shit is all over the place.
It's all over the place.
It is literally all over the place.
It's all over the place.
Yeah.
I mean, but the thing is, you can always watch your local sports on your local channel.
Yeah.
So you always have that. It's just if you want to watch somebody else, you're kind of stuck.
Yeah.
So, like you said, you got to have. Do you have cable? Like baseball, they have their app, the MLB TV app.
The channel.
And MLB TV probably has the best streaming app for all the sports.
I would
in
agree.
My opinion,
I would agree.
It's just that baseball's lost a lot of traction in the United States. So, but their app is incredible. NBA's app stinks.
Yeah.
Horrid. Needs to be better. Need much better infrastructure. Sunday Ticket. It's good, but now it's on YouTube.
Yeah, and there's so many facets.
I don't know how that works.
And football essentially is a highlight.
Because for Sunday Ticket, expensive, dude. It's like $300.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's very expensive.
For only 4 months, essentially.
That's insane.
Yeah.
So, because I know my dad used to always get it when he had his DirecTV, and it was like $250, $300.
Wow.
It went up because of YouTube. And all that
so
crap.
YouTube buys it, but I could get it. I have Sunday Ticket. I just click on the different channels. How does that work on YouTube?
Yeah.
Do the games have a different channel? Like, I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, you can watch it on your phone. You can watch it on the TV. It's interesting. It's very interesting. And how does that affect content creators?
Yeah.
Because, like, that's got to pull a ton of bandwidth if people are streaming football games all day.
What are they watching? Yeah.
Right.
What it might be YouTube's move away from the content creators.
Yeah.
Get profitability without having to depend on content creators
because they've been
all the
trying to
time.
push that YouTube TV for a while. And
Yeah.
the only thing that
Or
came
YouTube
of it,
Prime or YouTube Premium.
YouTube.
Yeah.
It was YouTube TV first because that's where Cobra Kai started.
Yeah.
Yes.
On the YouTube TV, and then that kind of fizzled, and now they have YouTube Premium.
And then Cobra Kai had a revival through Netflix, right?
Netflix about the rights.
There you go.
Yeah, as usual.
No, you know what? It wasn't YouTube TV. It was like YouTube Red.
Yeah, good call.
Oh, yeah.
Good
Like
call.
YouTube Red.
And Cobra Kai was the first property. Yes.
Yeah, and something else I don't remember. And Cobra Kai, even though it did well, it was
one of
from
few.
Netflix.
Yeah, one of few revivals Netflix did right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I don't know if it got the revival, if Netflix did the revival right more so than it just had more eyes on it.
Yeah,
Because nobody was buying YouTube TV
Yeah.
or Red, which sounds stupid anyway.
Yeah.
So, like you said, with these media rights with sports, like you were alluding to, it can get crazy, man.
That sounds really, really complicated.
It's a messy business.
Because when you're thinking about it, because live content is what's saving all these channels.
Yeah.
So now it's like, all right,
Save Prime.
WWE got $1 billion plus for Friday night. Football got, I forgot the numbers that they got.
The highest.
I forgot the numbers they got for Thursday night, Sunday night, Monday night, and YouTube. So now we're talking. We got Sunday Soda, we got Monday Sports Soda, and none of these sports want to step on each other. So you got football on Sunday, Monday, and Thursday. There's no major wrestling Thursday, but they have basketball Thursday. Basketball season and football season, there's a little overlap, but basketball season don't really start cooking until after
holidays.
football's over with anyway.
And holidays in general. Yeah.
So you got Tuesday and Thursday, that's NBA. And then you got Wednesday, I think, is baseball and hockey maybe. And then you got your wrestling Friday. You got Friday night high school football, which is big, especially in the smaller areas where high school football is king.
Yeah.
Saturday morning, you have college football. I don't want to get into college because I hate the NCAA, and
they could stick
pay the players.
They could stick it.
Pay the players.
Speaking of scams,
you got wrestling on Monday nights, Tuesday nights, Wednesday nights.
We're forgetting that show.
Friday nights,
Saturday,
and then Saturdays you have pay-per-view day for everybody. You have boxing pay-per-views, UFC pay-per-views, wrestling pay-per-views. Sunday night, you have the occasional wrestling pay-per-view. So it's like you have all of these sports entities that got each day locked up, and they're not stepping on each other.
So it's like a schedule because they know.
Yes. Yeah.
It's been like that for over 40 or 50 years.
So they've come to an agreement, and it's
A
essentially
shadowy agreement.
Yeah, shadowy agreement where it's like essentially a sports schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So when you talk about the media rights for these things, it can get out of hand because it's like what you can program around that. Like USA has had wrestling for a long time. They had Raw, which was a 3-hour show, and NXT, which was the 2-hour show on Tuesday. So that's 5 hours of content that you got right there. Raw's getting
that they're developing for cheap,
and
that has a paid audience.
Yeah,
and
advertising galore. Yeah,
advertising galore. That's 5 hours of content that you got right there, sewed up every week,
and they don't even do effort in those shows anymore.
No, and that's why I think the streaming services are buying up.
Yeah,
the sporting events.
Yeah,
concerts, sporting events,
Prime,
anything
YouTube.
that they don't have to funnel like production money into.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like reality TV over again.
It's
pretty much.
And those are things that you can't binge. I can't binge a game. Once it's over, it's over.
It's over.
Yeah.
Once it's over,
gone.
I see
you can technically
I know everything that happened.
You can technically DVR it. That's it.
You could DVR it, but again, once it's over, it is over.
Yeah, you're catching up.
The game is over. This thing right here is going to notify me who won.
Yeah,
before I even
the highlights. Oh.
It's gonna have everything. So that's the appeal of live sports. It's unpredictable.
One and done.
You have to watch it
Yeah.
because if you don't, it's spoiled. It's over.
Yeah.
So that's why the media rights on those things are so big, and they're constantly changing. I mean, these contracts for the media rights used to be longer too. It used to be 10-year, 5-year. Now we're talking like
barely
4.
Yeah.
Well, because
3.
Because it makes sense because they don't want to get locked in.
Exactly.
Because somebody might come along and say, "Hey, they paid you $1 billion. We'll pay you $2 billion." It's like that's an insane amount of money for anything. But it's like I get it, but at the same time, it's like I understand the shorter contract because somebody. Like, hey, like I signed up with you for 4 years for $1 billion. Then Sony comes along and says, "Oh, we're getting you 5 for like the next 5 years."
Because that's what the market dictates now. All right. Jaylen Brown signed a contract this summer. It was like a 4-year extension for like $300-something million.
He's not technically not the best player on the team.
No. But, I mean, that's the market. And that price is set there because they're expecting such an influx of money for their media rights fees that the salary cap each team can spend rises, so players' salary rise. So a guy that used to be
middle of the road, yeah.
So like back in the day when we were coming up, guys were barely making a couple $100,000 coming off the bench. Now the 8th, 9th man off the bench is making $5 million.
Yeah. And a player like Scottie Pippen who got screwed initially.
That's his fault.
Yeah.
First of all, we're not talking about Scottie Pippen has become an uber hater.
Yeah.
And I know it's because his wife is dating Michael Jordan's son.
Yes.
Or ex-wife is dating Michael Jordan's son.
Which is insane.
This is insane. But Jerry Reinsdorf, the owner, told him do not sign this contract.
Yep.
Jerry Krause, the GM, told him do not sign this contract. Michael Jordan told him do not sign this contract. He signed it. You got to live with that. Don't get mad. You can't come back and try to negotiate. You had numerous people tell you not to sign that contract, and you did. And I just want to say that because Scottie Pippen has been an absolute jerk to me multiple times in my life. We were in Fuddruckers one day. We were kids.
Aw.
And I saw Scottie there with Larsa.
Wow.
I remember this. Wow. I was a kid. It was Fuddruckers, and it's like I haven't really seen like a star like that because I'm like a huge fan. So I'm like, that's Scottie. My parents like, my dad's like, look, man, don't. We'll talk to him. And it's just like, and they went over there. Hey, Scottie, my kids, would you be willing to, sign an autograph for them? He was just like, maybe later, and just brush us off. I hate him. And then I saw him at the airport twice.
Wow.
I saw him at the airport twice. One time I saw him walking by. Hey, Scottie, what's up, man? He just kind of looked at me and was just like, and shook his head and walked off. And then another time I saw him and I was just like, I didn't even say anything because I already had these 2 previous experiences before.
Full mate once.
So I see him and like, it's funny because I was listening to Corey Holcomb's podcast one day. Shout out to the 5150 show. And so he said he saw this happen and I saw the exact same thing happen where a guy says something to Scottie and he just kind of dissed him. And then right after the guy said something, the girl came up to him and he was all cordial with him. Scottie's a simp. And that's why he got played by Larsa the way he did. Scottie, man, you're one of the greatest basketball players to ever live, but you're a simp and you're a lame human being. Stop being a hater, dog.
Yeah, he's getting paid to hate now too.
You're being a hater. You would have ducked this smoke if you would have just gave me an autograph when I was younger. I ain't interrupt your meal. We ain't go over there and sit on your chairs and interrupt anything. All you had to do was pull out a pen and sign a little piece of paper for a couple kids after you had a burger. There was like 8 people in the restaurant. Nobody even came up to you. Sign the autograph, but you wanted to be a hater and a jerk simping over this girl who's now dating your mortal enemy's son. So you deserve everything that you get. You have a really big nose, you stink, and you will always be Michael Jordan's sidekick.
Yep.
You will always be a Michael Jordan sidekick, and you will always be the side chick to all these hustler women in life. You get what you deserve. You're still one of the greatest players ever, though. Thank you for the 6 championships, Migraine Scottie. All right, what else are we talking about here?
I think we're done.
We're about done.
We're done?
Yep, we're done.
All right. You deserved everything I just gave you, Scottie Pippen. And I just want to send a shout out to Zoe. Thank you for cutting my hair right, man. All the barbershop conversation, I wasn't talking about you specifically. I was talking about your kind in general. Thank you for hooking me up.
Mine's named Kayla, and she's been a regular of mine for 4 years. She's a wonderful, wonderful barber.
Mine's Mia, who only charges me like $18.
$18 deal, man.
So I am going to give her a shout out. Check her out at Mia's on Diversity.
Mia's on Diversity.
Fernwood in Lincoln Square for Kayla.
What's his name? I think it's Rockstar Barbershop. It's like 1841 Chicago or something.
Okay.
Somewhere out there near like West Town, I think, or whatever. Shout out to you, Zoe. So
We're working on our 3rd year of the 950 Club.
This is year 3, man. We got more exciting stuff for you guys coming. As I said off camera, like I've always kind of like been a supporter for the guys, and as much as they tried to say that I was a host or member of the show, I never took credit for that because I was so rarely here. But now, like, my work schedule changed, man. I'm here with you guys full time, so I'm happy to like be finally feel like an official part of the team. So we're going to be bringing you all content.
Third member of the 950 Club.
The third member,
the original member.
There's going to have to be a new shadow member of the club.
Ernie.
It's probably going to be Ernie.
Yeah. What I'd like to do at some point is I want Jack, Martin, and my godson Jesus to do their Resident Evil episode.
We're going to get Martin on some more too.
And Coffrey with Street Fighter.
Yeah. Coffrey's been wanting me to do a Street Fighter episode for a long time.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we're going to have to get him
what he wants. But I can't
him
wait for Martin, Jack, and Jesus to do their Street Fighter thing, because I know this is going to be like off the charts geekdom.
Yeah.
Because the level of
we're just gonna be sitting there
pretty much. Yeah, we're just gonna be. Yeah. I think we're just gonna be moderating. Yeah. I think it's gonna be like a panel, and we're just gonna be moderating.
We're just gonna be passing water bottles. Like, take a sip of water, man.
Oh yeah,
like in the middle, like at the end of a round of a boxing match.
Get the towels.
Especially Martin. Especially Martin with the chronology or Karen or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So we're gonna be doing that, man. We're gonna have more friends coming on. I know Kyle listens to a lot of our episodes. He'll be back. We're definitely going to once this season of Jujutsu Kaisen is over, we're definitely going to have him back because he's a fanboy.
He sold me on the incident.
Hey, look, man. He gave it. Well, that episode hasn't come out yet, but he gave us a pretty good breakdown of Jujutsu Kaisen as we did our summer talk about it. That episode is coming soon, baby. And keep listening out, man. We got more content for you. We locked in now. We're back on the grind. More expos, more conventions, more fun talks. We're going to get some interviews for some voice actors lined up.
Oh, I know. What's that one podcast they do? Fuchsia podcast does
Fuchsia,
that. Yeah, Fuchsia.
Yeah, we're going to do that. We're going to get our best of 2022 done. Best of 2023 is going to be coming soon. We got a lot coming for you guys. Pause.
On the 950 Club. We gotta go.